Passport bros. What the heck is a passport bro? What are they and what are Christian men to make of such an idea? Let me tell you a little story. Back in 2005, I met the love of my life. He was tall, incredibly handsome, and I knew from the moment I laid eyes on him that he was the one for me. There was this one small little problem though. Upon getting to know him and learning more about him, I discovered that he was an avid traveler and he is what's now considered a passport bro. Now, before your mind starts going on some crazy tangent and making wild assumptions, this show is not about what you think it's about. We're not going to discuss what you think happens when men travel abroad. I, for one, am a Christian, so pump your brakes. This is not that kind of content. However, what you do need to know is that in 2007, after a year and some months courtship, my then fiance and we wed in a small courthouse ceremony, immediately started our family, and we have been happily married ever since. Yes, I married what many would consider a passport bro. Now, this video is not about what many people think happens in these faraway lands that have American men rushing to get a passport, heading on the next flight smoking. Nope. This show is not going to be about that. This show is going to be about how American men have been for years. This is not a new phenomenon. They have for years been traveling outside of the United States in search of what every man of every ethnicity wants. What is that? Peace, femininity, cooperation, submissiveness, and to be with someone who was raised to be a wife. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and we're going to get into it because, men, I understand exactly what's at work here because I lived it. And ladies, y'all gonna have to lean in for this one. Here is a hard truth. If y'all don't do something different and completely change course, I cannot in good faith, even if you are a believer, and I'm saying this with as much sincerity as I can muster up. I cannot in good faith just tell you that everything's going to be okay, right? So, here's the deal. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all of that and more on the Standard of Truth podcast. Well, hello, everybody. Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Happy Saturday. Listen, it was much fasting and prayer that I'm actually doing this live stream tonight because I have been sick for the past couple of days. Yes, I thought I had COVID, but I don't think it was COVID because I've had COVID a lot. And the symptoms were just a little different. I think I just had a cold. Can you believe that? Like, people actually still get the cold. Like, I just had a cold. So I'm a little congested, a little phlegmy, right? A little phlegmy in the throat, but I am here because we have to talk about it. Grace and peace to you guys. I want to welcome everybody to the live stream, whether you are watching us on Facebook or here on YouTube or you're over on Twitter. Wherever you are watching us, you need to do a couple of things. First thing you need to do is like this video. The second thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and share it because, one, what we're talking about today is a completely unique perspective, right? As I told you in my soft opening monologue, I actually married a former passport bro, right? And what you need to know about that is a lot of things. Is one, he's my husband and he's still my husband, right? But I need to tell you a little bit about what happened with that, why it's important, why I have a vested interest in this topic, and we're just going to discuss some hard truths. So, this live stream is going to serve to do two purposes. One, it's going to dispel some myths, right? Two, it's also going to be from a biblical perspective. I am a Christian. I create distinctively Christian content. However, I can speak to the culture because this issue or alleged problem that many seem to have with this phenomenon known as passport bros needs to be discussed. And I don't believe that believers need to be on the sidelines and say, well, this is not our conversation. Ladies, I'm telling you, it is your conversation. And if you didn't think it was your conversation, it's your conversation tonight. So if you are a man or a woman, regardless of what end of the binary spectrum you fall on, you need to tune in to this show. So, first thing I want to do is I want to let you guys know this is going to be a rough one, right? It's going to be a rough one because I'm going to expose what men have been saying for years. If you're new and you're like, April, what is a passport, bro? There are lots of myths circulating around this term. There's actually a hashtag that's been trending for a while. Well, if you don't know, I've been married 15 years, right? So that means my husband and I got married in 2007 and I met him in 2005. And I don't know if the term was a thing back then, but the concept was definitely a thing. It wasn't as popular as it is now. And I've talked with my husband ad nauseum about this. We actually planned this show and we were very thoughtful and very careful. I'm going to share a little bit about our story because I believe God is getting glory out of our story, but this is gonna free some women today. Because you guys need to hear from a woman's perspective um what men are actually saying. And I believe men also need to hear from a woman's perspective, the biblical basis for the claims that I'm going to make tonight. So share the video so you can get some people in here. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. So like I said, I've been married for 15 years. And what many people don't know, I did not meet my husband abroad. Like I met him here in Metro Atlanta, at a little supper club on a little Wednesday night happy hour. And I remember that day like it was the back of my hand. If anybody knows me, everybody knows I love my husband like a diabetic loves carbs. Okay. Like one thing you know about diabetics, they are always thirsty, right? And they are constantly craving carbs. Listen, nothing but death can keep me from that man. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. What is so unique about our story? Well, when my husband and I met, it was just a casual, I'm sitting, mind you, I was an unbeliever, but I'm sitting at the bar, with a girlfriend, and I see this guy, and I'm like, oh Lord, Jesus, yes, thank you. Thank you, because that's him, right? I knew immediately from the moment I laid eyes on him that he was the one. It wasn't no supernatural. I felt it in my spirit. I just saw him and I was like, that's it. Like the search is over. Like we're done. I'm hanging it up because he's the one. I did a little wave. Gave him the signal. He comes over and we start talking, so forth and so on. And I'll never forget, um, on our first date, just getting to know each other. And he's telling me how he loves to travel and how he had just started a new job, but he's still working his old job. And I'm like, okay, well, I know you were telling me that you work for the airline, right? So put a pin in that. So he's working for the airline. And anybody who knows when you work for the airline, you get travel benefits. You get to travel for deeply discounted rates. For the most part, you're traveling for free. You're only paying like incidental taxes and some other things. I don't know, all of the proper term for it, but he was very open and transparent and honest. And so I'm like, well, I'm 25, y'all, at the time. I'm 25 years old. So call it naivete. I don't know. But I'm like, oh, tell me about your excursions. Like, I want to know all about it, just in my young little, wet behind the ears kind of way. And my husband's 11 years older than me. So there is an age gap, but he's telling me like, yeah, I've been, I have my other job, but I'm still working for the airline. And he was just like, yeah, I travel all over the world. One weekend I might be in Thailand, another weekend I might be in Brazil. I love Dominican Republic. And, in the course of us getting to know each other, he's telling me about the culture over there. He's telling me about the food. But please believe we had a very candid and open discussion about prospects of relationships and how women over there are just team different than the women over here. Now, when he's telling me all this, I'm ear hustling. I am paying attention because what did I already tell y'all? I told y'all when I seen him across the room that he was the one. So I already knew. I was like, listen, y'all can call me what you want, pick me, whatever. Yes, I wanted to be picked, and I wanted to be picked by him. And so there was no strategic plan for me, to be a certain way. But what I did was I was very intentional and I was paying attention and I was listening to the way he would talk about his travels over there. And I did not put a plan in place to say, "Oh, okay, well I'm just going to compete." It wasn't a discussion that I had within myself. All I knew is that I said, if this is the guy that I want to be with and he is traveling abroad, that means it's not just women in Atlanta that I'm competing with. I'm competing on an international level and I got to come with it. Okay? So I'll never forget, we're getting to know each other. A couple of weeks passed. And, I was like, hey, well, what are you doing over the weekend? Maybe we should, catch up. And he was like, well, you know what? I had this trip planned and I've had it planned for weeks and I, really didn't want to cancel. I'm going, I can't remember if he was going to DR or Brazil, but he was like, I'll see you when I get back. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. And I'll never forget, I drove him to the airport, and when you work for the airlines, you have to be all dressed up, and I was like, "Oh my lord, this man looks so good." I was like, "Why is he get on a plane?" So, I drop him off. He's looking, like, really nice because you have to dress up. We say our goodbyes. Mind you, we're not in a relationship. Like, we just get to know each other. I am not his girlfriend. We are not exclusive. But I remember when he got back and he tells me, he's like, "You know what? I quit." And I'm like, you quit your job? He was like, yeah, I quit the airline. I really don't need that job. He was like, I was just kind of holding on to it for the traveling benefits. But he was like, I quit. I was like, okay, not thinking anything of it. And we just start our courtship and we're just doing us. Y'all, we've been stuck at the hip ever since. Why am I telling you that story? I'm telling you that story because it matters. I did not know what I did not know back then, but I knew enough to know that no man unregenerate in his unregenerate, unbelieving state is going to quit a job where he is getting free travel benefits, where he can go anywhere in the world to find his woman. No man is going to give that up unless he got a good reason to do so. And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the phenomenon of passport bros. So I got some slides. Y'all know in true standard of truth fashion, I have my slides because we're going in deep. I got to lay the foundation and give you some definitions to make it clear that you understand what we're discussing and what we're not. So let me go ahead and cue those up. And right now, I'm on the wrong page, right? Like, so let's go ahead and get that started. Presentation's all messed up, but it's fine. Passport Bros, the truth. That's what I have entitled this presentation because there are so many myths surrounding this phenomenon. And y'all, this phenomenon is not new. I just told y'all I've been married 15 years. So this was actually 17 years ago. I met him in 2005. We married in 2007. This is, when I say this is so old, the women on social media who are up in a tizzy having a heart attack over this phenomenon, y'all late. Okay, y'all are super late because this is not new. It wasn't even new when I discovered that the man who I wanted to be with was essentially a passport bro. It wasn't new then. It's been happening for a while. The issue is y'all just ain't been listening, right? So this phenomenon known as passport bros is actually a hashtag. It's called hashtag passport bros. So the hashtag actually began as a way for Black men to advise other Black men where they could find traditional women in other countries. A simple search of passport bros on any social media platform will show hundreds of men describing their experiences with the opposite sex in other countries compared to the United States. So that's just giving you a little context where the hashtag came from. But the question we need to ask ourselves is why are Black men getting passports? Like, why is there apparently, on to what it seems to this generation, like there's this surge in men rushing to get these passports? Well, an argument can be made that what's driving the passport bros phenomenon or the movement is sexual immorality. Like, we can build a case about that, but I'm going to disagree and push back on that. And it's because women here in the United States are just they just giving scattered behind all over the place, you know. And I'm not talking about Christian women, well, people who profess the name of Christ. Fake Christians are actually doing it too, but they're already actively participating in that. And so much so that there are most women, believe it or not, statistically have higher body counts than their male counterparts, right? So I don't even think that it makes sense to have the discussion that what's driving this movement is sexual immorality because it's already happening here anyway. Women, particularly modern women, don't really have standards or requirements when it comes to that area. Like, if you scour social media and you pay attention to what's going on in the culture, gone are the days of, I'm not trying to do that. Everybody is Netflixing and chilling, right? With no strings attached. Like, they're not even dating. They're swiping left, swiping right. Next thing you know, they at the crib. They don't even know this person's last name. It's just it's just morally debased. So we don't need to have a discussion about that because that's happening domestically, right? But I don't know if I can move myself over to the side, y'all, but I can't even read. I'm gonna have to put myself here at the bottom for a quick second. Make this a little smaller. But what men want and have always wanted through all of antiquity, y'all, it's real simple. It is so simple. Men want respect, right? They want respect and they want a traditional woman who knows what it means to be a wife. They want to know that there's a fundamental understanding that, oh, you want to get married? Great. There's a role, right? A position that's played when you're saying, I want to be married, I want a husband, I want to be a wife. Men through all of antiquity have always wanted the same thing. They're pretty consistent. They don't really switch things up too much, right? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and dispel some passport myths, right? There is a segment of the female population that, they don't really know much about this phenomenon. They've not really engaged in any meaningful dialogue with these men who are endeavoring to, like, I'm getting a passport and I'm out, right? They haven't talked with these men, but these are some of the myths that are circulating around, and a lot of them are assumptions. I'm not saying there isn't any truth to some of this, but in the context in which I'm discussing passport bros, a lot of these are myths. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them. And the first one I wanted to discuss is that these men are predatory, right? The myth is that these men are traveling abroad for cheap sex and to get young, impoverished girls. Now, I would argue that that's happening here domestically. Those are called predators, right? That they're actually engaging in illicit sexual immorality for the sole purposes of, gratifying themselves. An argument can be made for that, but this is specifically a myth that is surrounding the passport bro movement that I believe needs to be dispelled, because I'm like, y'all, it's really not that. Y'all can keep saying it, but until you've spent time with these men and you've engaged with the women over there and you understand the culture, something we're going to talk about, it's really it's actually really disparaging to say such a thing, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is somebody that you're interested in, you want to date, and when you find out he's traveling internationally, now he's a predator, like that's really messed up, right? You also hear this myth where, women will say, "Oh, well, he's too weak to handle a strong woman." Men are too weak to handle strong, independent women who challenge them, and they want someone they can control. The first problem with that myth, it it presupposes the idea that w- w- when you say handle, like I start thinking cattle, right? I start thinking pets. I start thinking a fast race car with I don't know, some serious horsepower. Like it's not that. Men, if a man has to handle you, something's wrong. I mean, I'm just saying, it's the whole strong, independent woman thing. That's part of the problem, and we're going to talk about that. But it's a myth that men are just too weak because they don't want to handle you. No, they really just don't want to deal with you. Like, you are team too much. It is you are insufferable to deal with, and they're not weak. In fact, they're looking out for their peace of mind and their sanity, because they're like, I'm not doing this with you. I've got options, right? And so that's not it. That is not that is another myth I want to dispel. This other myth is that traditional women, they're going over there because they want traditional women, but they don't want the marriage commitment, right? They're saying that men are going to Brazil and the Dominican Republic and Thailand to pursue these women with no intentions on marriage. And that is just simply not true. If we look at the statistics in this country, over 50% of Black men are single and childless. And when you talk to them, at the core of their being, they're like, you know what? I really do want to get married. I actually wanted a family, but I don't see any hope on the horizon. So, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But they're not going over there just because they just want these traditional women, but they're not going to commit. They actually want to commit. And then when you look at the statistics of our divorce rates in this country, 80% of divorces are filed by women. So these men are entering into these covenant relationships with these women, but they're not the ones breaking up their homes. It's the women that are doing it. So I am pushing back on this myth that, oh, these men are just going over there because they love these traditional women, but they're not serious. They're not taking them serious. Please believe it. Many, first of all, the men that are independently wealthy that can afford it, they're literally picking up and starting new lives over there, start whole families. And then the ones who are like, I'm going down there, I have a particular purpose in mind. I'm going to find me a wife, and then I'm bringing her back here, and we're getting married, and we're starting our life. I know these men. Okay, I know them, and it's a real thing. They actually desire marriage. Here's what I'm not saying. I am not saying that there's not a percentage of, like, there's not some outlier out there where they're like, I don't want to get married. I just want to have fun. That's there, that's here, that's everywhere. I am talking about, for the context of this conversation, this is a huge myth, because by and large, the majority, most men want to carry on their progeny. They want a wife. They want children. They want family in the traditional sense. They don't want to be your baby daddy. They actually want something solid to build and to propagate, like I said, their progeny. They want a junior or a little girl. Like they want some kids. They do. Even when they're after 55. I know men are like, yeah, yeah, I would. At this age, at this juncture, I would probably do it. That's telling you something. The other myth that I want to dispel is the colorism myth. There's a myth that's saying that men are looking for these exotic women because they're color struck and they hate themselves. What we need to understand is that, particularly in South America was colonized by Africans just like the United States was, right? These women cover the spectrum of colors, okay? And if you know anything about black men and you talk to most black men want to be with someone who shares their ethnic reflection, right? But they're at a point now where they're like, I don't even care. I just want some peace. Like I don't want to deal with the headache. And so colorism, it's a myth because the women over there are all colors of the rainbow, right? They're lighter than me, they're my colors. Some of them are deep, beautiful, dark chocolate brown. They're black women. They are of Afrocentric ethnicity. So it's not that they hate themselves. Like it's silly. What instead of us engaging with what these men are saying, engaging with the argument, it's easy for us to discuss and say these myths. Maybe it makes you feel better. I don't know. But we're gonna deal with what the real issue is, why they're going to international spaces in order to find what they want. So let's move on. The biggest issue and the biggest chief complaint that these men have is that it's culture, right? You can find any of these groups of men that are traveling internationally and they will tell you it's the culture. It's a cultural difference. It is so distinct and such a sharp contrast that they're like, I didn't even realize that there were places like this that actually had these cultural values. So, what I want to do now is I actually want to define culture, right? So, culture it's an umbrella term which encompasses the collective social behavior, institutions, and norms found in human societies, which includes the collective knowledge, belief, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, and habits of the individuals in these groups. It's culture. I know right now I'm talking to the women. I know you and your girlfriends have a really difficult time thinking that it's culture, right? You're thinking it's something else. Oh, it's got to be their hair, right? Oh, it's got to be, the bodies. Or it's got to be, their skin tone or they're docile and you can just do what you want and they can be a little play. Listen, you can keep having that conversation amongst yourselves. You can do that. You are free to do that. But I'm telling you what I know. I am married to a former passport bro, okay? It's culture. It is culture. It is culture. Americans have a culture, and particularly Black Americans. I don't know whose culture we've adopted, but we've got a culture, right? I can't pinpoint what it is, and we're going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about the broad American culture, and then we're going to compare that with the culture. I can't span the entire globe. We're going to focus specifically on South American culture, right? We're going to do that. Before I continue, let me just make sure I have not missed. Okay, no, I haven't missed anything. We're good to go. Y'all still with me? Y'all still out there? If you're still with me and y'all hanging on, y'all just put a one in the chat if y'all still here. So let's go ahead and compare. Well, before we compare, let's discuss American culture, right? American culture, mind you, I speak in generalities. I don't want to hear, but that's not me, and I don't know people like that. We ain't talking about you. We know you don't have problems, right? It's everybody else. I'm speaking of American culture in general. Whether you white, black, you born here in America and you've adopted the Western way of living. I'm talking about American culture. American culture is very individualistic, right? It is traditional families or traditional nuclear families are not really a thing anymore. You don't really see them as often. You guys know the statistics in the black community. Our single mother rate is incredibly high. It's just not good. Followed by our Hispanic women, followed by, our Caucasian brethren. Like everybody's numbers are not doing well right now. But black women, our families in particular, are in crisis. You don't have to believe me. Just look around you and you can see that. There's no family loyalty, no emphasis. It's heavy emphasis on just me, myself and I. There's no duty, there's no loyalty, there's no familiar pride, right? Right now, I don't know how it got that way. I've got, some anecdotal theories, but in general, this is American culture in comparison to other cultures around the world. American culture, particularly in the last, I would say, 7 to 10 years, zero respect for men. There's a heavy misandrous ideology that seems to permeate our culture. You see it in our movies, you see it in our sitcoms. Men are just the bumbling idiots. There's no value in a man. Now, he's important as a resource or as a line item, on a tax return, but outside of that, he's something to be consumed for financial and physical gratification. And if he can't bring a huge wallet, then he's not useful to anyone. That is the prevailing thought amongst many people here in the West. And yes, I'm going to say it. Black women, not you, and certainly not my tightest two women, but in general, you know a woman who thinks just like this. If he ain't coming with the bag, like I don't know, he has to make as much as me or higher. Like, I mean, if he's not making at least where I am, then I mean, I'm just not gonna be able to do it. Or you hear, I don't date anybody unless they have a master's or higher. I mean, I have a master's, so it's just it would make sense for me to only date someone with a master's or higher because I mean, what do we have in common? What would we talk about? What would we discuss? Like, these are the conversations that are happening out here in the culture. Don't act like you ain't heard it, and don't act like I'm making this up because I'm not. I'm not. Um, our women, college age women, they're not interested in their peers coming out of college with them. They're like, okay, well, I'm 22, but why aren't you making six figures and you're 22 like me? Like, they're not making six figures, but this heavy materialistic focusing on the money is a thing. It is now a part of the culture. You see it everywhere. You got to get the bag. You have to, we're chasing all these degrees and you can't just get one. One is not enough. You got to get at least two or three. At least two or three. And then these pursuits are placed above the importance of what about the man? Well, what about the man? Like, I mean, I can do it. Why can't he? Like, come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't like to hear it, but that don't make it any less true. No clear and distinct gender roles. Everybody knows that this is now indicative of culture here in this country. Why? Because I mean, gender is a social construct now. Just like, well, I mean, men can menstruate, but it's not even that. American Black women in particular, we're not raised by and large to be a wife. And that is not a put down. I have to put myself in that same category. Love my mama. She was an amazing mother, right? But we did not have thoughtful, pensive, specific conversations about being a wife. We did not have those conversations. We just didn't. And I know I am not alone. I had to learn by way of books, um, older women speaking into my life, the scriptures, right? When I became born again, my thinking was reoriented to be like, oh, I'm a wife now, right? So this is what I must be. By and large, we're not raised that way. A lot of us are doing on the job training because in our culture, we are not raised to prioritize it. So those conversations don't happen. It's after high school, what school are you going to? And then after you're in college, well, where are you going to work? And it's all we have constant conversations about educational and career pursuits. But the moment I can't even say the moment the discussion comes up, it rarely ever comes up about, well, when you gonna get married, when you gonna start like I even know here in the West, children of two-parent households where the parents are actually discouraging and telling the girl, you don't have time to be thinking about marriage and children. They actually are giving this advice so that the daughter is just like, oh, okay, well, if you're telling me I don't have time for that, I'm not going to prioritize it, and I'm pursuing all these other things. That is a reality. It's indicative of our culture because we're very individualistic. It's no longer let's let's build a family and start with that foundation and go from there. These conversations are just not happening. We are prioritizing, like I said here, education and careers at the expense of family. And many of us, it has happened and it's just too late because we're like, oh my goodness, we're waking up. And then we realize that, oops, I forgot to prioritize this aspect of my life. No one told us that, this is a time sensitive issue. You kind of need to do this and the other stuff simultaneously. You can't segment your life because at some point, your body is going to tell you that shelf life is waning, right? I want to be gracious and as much as I can, but someone has to have the conversation with our young girls, and someone also, we need to be honest with ourselves and be like, you know what, I wasn't taught this either. Like, don't remember having that conversation. We just didn't. It's indicative of American culture. But let's contrast that with other cultures, particularly cultures in South America, right? These other cultures in South America are more collective. They are more strong family, nuclear family oriented, right? Family loyalty, emphasis on family values, low out of wedlock rates. Why is because there is a sense of shame and stigma attached to doing things out of order versus in our culture, we do what we want all willy-nilly, do stuff all out of order, and we believe, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Like, so what? I don't need the man. I just wanted the baby, right? We do that. But in these other cultures, there's a sense of, dare I say it, patriarchal. I I'll go as far as to say biblical values in the sense. I am not saying they're Christian values, but they're borrowing they're borrowing from the Christian worldview in terms of foundational order in the family structure. And there's still a stigma of shame attached to it when you don't do it that way because it's their culture. It's what they know. The thought of just, oh, I'm gonna just have a kid, and it's like, well, where's the man? That those things don't happen like that. And then when they do, there's the shame where you should feel some reproach because it's like, oh my goodness, I'm letting the family down. It's not supposed to be this way. I'm actually, bringing reproach on the family name. It's culture. Let's continue. Respect for men. These cultures are very patriarchal. I don't care what the left is trying to tell you, that women rule the world and that equality and feminism is the wave of the future. Other parts of the world are like, y'all over there in America, y'all got us messed up because we don't live like that. They don't. They're like, we're not buying what y'all are selling. Y'all go ahead and tear up and destroy your country with that feminist foolishness. But over here in Africa, in South America, they're like, no, we like the patriarchy because it works, right? Men are not they're in these other places, men are just not resources to be consumed and used, right? They actually have intrinsic value and they're treated as such. Men are respected not because they make a lot of money, not because they have a lot of prestige. They're simply respected because they're men. They're men. And the idea of having a man as the head of the family to look to for wisdom and guidance has value. And the women there understand that. So they cherish that. They respect that. They don't want to usurp that. They're perfectly okay resting in their femininity because they're like, we have a man here. And that man is going to lead and guide and give us wisdom and protect and provide. And when I say provide, I even need when I'm discussing provision in the American context, I even have to qualify that. What do I mean? Because in the American context, provide means you got to get me Louboutins, buy me a Benz, make sure I'm in a 7-bedroom house, and I'm looking fly with my nails done and my hair done all the time. In the American context, that's provision. Not for all of us, but for a large segment of the population. When you say provide, that's what they hear. They take that word, filter it through their own worldview, and that's the output. The output is, oh, provide. Yes, I'm living La Vida Loca, right? We're on vacations in Maldives and, I'm driving, a luxury vehicle every few years and I'm going on girls' trips at your expense. That's what modern women today in the American context hear when they hear provide. Their context of provision is different. Provision is, oh, do we have a place to live? Do we have food to eat? Right? Are we safe? Are we together? Do I have everything that I need to live this life, right? With my basic needs taken care of. And they're not just like, oh, my basic needs are taken care of. This is a miserable life. No, no, no. They are happy. They have joy because they're like, he's providing. Our values here in America in the West are just jacked up and they're skewed. And how it got like this, particularly, I'm a Christian, right? So when I talk about this, I know so many of my all of my subscribers here, you guys in the chat that are believers. I know y'all are like, well, why is she? If we're the her audience, why is she saying this to us? You know why? Because we see this among Christian women too. We have not been immune to the influence of this world system. I know what I'm talking about. I've had these conversations with my godly Christian girlfriends, and we're sitting here trying to figure out, I mean, why is it that, we're not content, right? I saw my girlfriend Shanice in the live chat, right? We talk about this all the time. We're just like, where did these Christian women get this idea that they have to have what everybody else has to be happy? What happened to the biblical concept of being content with what you have, working quietly with your hands, living a peaceful and quiet life, not coveting, right? Coveting is wanting what everybody else has. That's the whole idea of keeping up with the Joneses. This adoption of this worldview, what it has done is it has placed an undue heavy burden on men. So the pressure to provide you with the life that you've never lived. You wasn't providing it for yourself. You ain't never seen nobody in your family live this life. But for some reason, you have it set in your mind that I'm supposed to live a certain way because Sarah Jakes told me that I was the head and not the tail. Keep listening to these false teachers who got you constantly chasing the bag and your destiny, which includes things that have no eternal value and that are causing you to be discontent with this very present world, with the stuff that you can't even take with you. I'm saying it because I see it even in Christian circles. Women are discontent. You can't ever make them happy. And the man is like, I mean, I'm out here, I'm working like 80 hours a week. And every time I come home, she went, well, I really wanted that Michael Kors bag, but I know we don't have it. I even saw a YouTube clip of a woman. Now, she wasn't a believer, so I got to give context. This woman had the temerity to say, as it related, I can't remember if the context was this passport bro conversation, but this woman said, we tired. We are tired of struggling with y'all. We are tired of trying to hold you down. And, we're just tired. She spoke of men with such contempt, and it lacked so much humility, and it was such a haughty and boastful attitude. I was like, it's no wonder. If I was a man, I'd be like, can I get 2 passports just in case I lose this one? Because ain't no way I'm fooling with none of this. It's too much. Why? Because they don't understand men, and they literally only see men as a resource and a means to an end, and they don't see men as valuable just because they are men. They don't see the fact that God uniquely equipped them and designed them in such a way that he sees things that you don't see. And just pair bonding with a man, even one who's struggling to wobble a little bit. He's wobbling in his manhood a little bit because maybe he didn't see it modeled before him, but he at least has the sense enough to know that I'm with you. I'm protecting you. I am providing for you. But we have this warped sense of provision because I don't know if it's social media, BT, Fox Soul, Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't know where this twisted, wicked worldview came from. But if Christian women do not block out the influence of the world, I am telling you, these passport bros will leave you behind. It is already happening. So many of my Christian sisters are like, there are no men. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm co-signing and agreeing because I know where they went. They're gone international. I even know some that are, listen, on the Christian side. Let's just move the secular women aside for a minute. I know good, godly Christian men who are like, okay, do we have what churches are we supporting in South America? I'm going on a missions trip, and they coming back with a whole wife. They are literally going to other countries to plant churches. So they're doing the work of the Lord. They're doing the work of the ministry. But they're like, I'd be darned if I come back empty-handed. I'm coming back with a woman, and we're going to have some babies, and we're going to live happily ever after. And then there's some that on the other side of the spectrum, they're like, I'm a little too old for some kids, but I'm a widow, and I could use a one flesh partner. I've healed. My wife has passed on. She was in the Lord. We had a great life, but I'm ready to start over. They're going to other countries to get traditional women because it's easier to get the basics. And Some of these women don't even know the language. You know it's bad when a man will go to another country to get a woman who does not even speak the language just so he can have some peace. Now you can believe the myths all you want to. I'm just telling you, it's different. The way these men experience these women, it's different because they are different, because the culture is different. And if Christian women don't recognize that we are to be separate and distinct from the world, and we cannot adopt the world's ways and this world system and get caught up in the wrong stuff, some of us Christian women, you know who you are. You're going to have to get rid of some of these girlfriends of yours. I'm going to just put it out there. These women don't mean you well. They don't want what's best for you. They are keeping you stuck because they are toxic and negative themselves, despite the fact that they profess and claim the name of Christ. I'm going to just put it out there. Because the moment you meet a nice gentleman and you bring it up to her, she ain't got nothing good to say. Because she gonna find something wrong. Now, nothing legitimate. Not like these legitimate red flags where it's like, no, sis, you need to be careful. No, it's just her insecurities and idiosyncrasies. Like, I mean, he working for UPS. Like, what you supposed to do with that? Not the fact that he's working a job honorable with his hands, providing for himself, right? Going to work, living a peaceful and quiet life, loving Jesus, and minding his business. That ain't good enough, right? Because he can't buy you a Tesla. Now he's inadequate. I know Christian women who have this worldview. When you ask them, oh, well, what are you most looking forward to when you meet your spouse, or when you meet your spouse, or what are you most looking forward to when y'all get married? It's not just to have him and to spend life with him and to share life together. It's like, no, what am I most looking forward to? Somebody to catch these bills. That's what the Christian women are saying. Heard it with my own mouth. I'm not making it up. I'm telling you what I know. I was appalled, clutching pearls that I don't even wear because I'm like, wait a minute, am I talking to a pagan? Or are we Christian? When I ask you what you're most looking forward to marry the man that the Lord sent you, that's your answer? You looking for somebody to catch these bills? Ma'am, what is wrong with you? Appalling. Clear and distinct gender roles. The women they're raised to engage and treat men a certain way. I'm talking about the basics. I ain't talking about these women are not bowing down, kissing feet. Okay. Let's not be silly, right? It is just the basics. Basics such as you see the man hungry, I'm going to volunteer to prepare you a meal, right? I'm going to put love and care and concern in this meal, and I'm going to present it in a beautifully pleasing way. I'm going to remove the plate. I'm going to wash the dish. I'm going to ask, is there anything else that I can get? They're just doing the basics, right? Basics like I don't smiling, just, smiling, being lighthearted, just agreeable. Hey, I was thinking there's this new movie in town. You want to go? Sure. Like, okay, let's go. What time? No, it's not. Well, I mean, I don't really want to see that movie. Like, what else they got? The lack of agreeableness is going to hold us back. And these men are jumping ship. They've already jumped ship. Actually, this live stream, I believe, is a little too late for some of us because I am seeing it. I have male colleagues and friends on all levels of the financial spectrum. I have some on the very, very high end who are spending a whole lot of time international. They're away more than they're here. And they're like, listen, I can work remote from my job. I'm just here getting some peace. I'm just enjoying the sunshine. They love the culture, they love the weather, but more importantly, They love the way these women engage and interact with them because there's a level of femininity that you get that you don't experience here in America. For example, he don't even have to be your man, sis. But if you're in the grocery store, matter of fact, I was talking to a brother today, and we were talking about how there used to be a time when if a woman was in distress, any man, regardless of who he would run to her aid because women, we're the weaker vessel. We're just different. We're uniquely equipped to do different things. Now you can see as based on the track record and how we've conducted ourselves just out in the world, men are not just rushing to help damsels in distress anymore. Why? They got to worry about being me too, right? You on the side of the road and you're got a flat tire and it's out in the rain. Men actually have to count the cost. Okay, if I stop and I pull over to help her, you know, am I gonna be a victim of being like saying that I assaulted her? These things are happening because they're like, you just don't know the opportunistic nature of what's going on in our culture. Women just not actively engaging with the opposite sex in good faith, right? I'm not saying that assaults don't happen, but I'm also not of the opinion that you just believe all women. That is not how it works. We need corroborating evidence and the testimony. I got to see it. I'm not just going to believe you just because you said so. And I also see in the culture, men are not in America, men are not as chivalrous anymore. And women are saying, well, they won't open doors for us and they won't do this. Well, do you leave room for the possibility that when you're not giving off feminine energy and you are constantly reminding him that you don't really need him, you'd like to have him, but you don't really need him, that he's just like, why am I putting forth any effort? You got this. You got all of this. You got this mortgage, you got everything that you need to live your best life. You don't need me. The constant emasculation of men, that's a thing. Like don't sit here and tell me that it's not, right? I mean, we're emasculating men that not even our men. There used to be a point in time when women would defer a level of respect to just men in general, right? Just, hi, sir, how are you doing today? Oh, ma'am, I'm doing well. Hold the door. We're not engaging with one another in good faith anymore because there's just so much bad blood. There's so much bad blood because there's so many um, negative images that are being portrayed that is causing a very wide chasm and divide between the male and female gender now, and in particularly within Black American culture. It is really bad. And the purpose of this live stream is that some things are going to have to change. Some things are going to have to change, and they're going to have to change drastically because here's what we could do, right? Give me a second. Let me pull up this. Well, before I do that, this I'll say some things are gonna have to change. And I never leave my audience without an exhortation and some here's the plan, right? Here is our pathway forward. I won't leave you without that. But before we get there, we need to examine some chief complaints. Okay. And when I say chief complaints, I'm talking about chief complaints from the men. I've talked a lot about men in general just kind of want respect and they're looking for traditional women, but this is not an exhaustive list, but these are the chief complaints that you are hearing from your American male counterparts regarding why they are so ready to become passport pros or they've already done it. Number one, American Black men do not feel needed. And, if you're a woman and you're just like, well, why you gotta feel all needy? Well, that's just so weak. Like, stop. You're not winning with those arguments. You're not winning. Your outcomes prove that you're not winning. So stop. Men, through all of antiquity, have always had an intrinsic need to feel needed. They are men. They are the backbone and foundation of civilization. How do we know this? Because this very house I'm sitting in was built by a man. This electricity that I enjoy is maintained by a whole bunch of men. It's raining outside right now. If this internet goes out, who you think is coming to the rescue? It ain't gonna be a crew of women with hard hats on, like, hey, we're from Comcast, we're here to help. No, no, it's gonna be a crew of men, right? They don't feel needed anymore. Why? Because they're constantly being reminded, oh, you don't have as much education as us. You don't make as much money as us. Oh, and you're just so this and you're just so that, that they're just like, I'm good. I'm gonna go where I'm needed. In other cultures, it is not so. These men are rock stars in these other cultures and other countries. I'm talking about just regular old average Joes. Just, hey, my name is Joe. I'm average. I'm from Wisconsin. They, the red carpet is rolled out for these men. And no, it is not tied to money. It is the culture. I'm gonna keep drilling into your head until you get it. If you've not spent time with these men, and if you don't know these men, you're just talking out the side of your neck and you don't know what you're talking about. It's just the culture. And they don't have to be in some sort of relationship with these guys. It's just, hey, that's a guy. I'm going to smile. I'm going to be polite. Hey, we're just all hanging out. I don't want nothing from you. You don't want nothing from me. This is just male female dynamics in a normal, healthy culture. We don't have a normal, healthy culture. American culture is toxic and it's morally debased. And yes, we live in a sin sick and we live in a fallen world, but there is something really, really sinister going on here in America. And I need American women, particularly the Christian ones, to pay attention and wake up. Because if you don't course correct, if you don't do something and change, you gonna be out. I mean, do I need to say it? Or y'all gonna finish the sentence for me? Because this is where we are. Chief complaints. They don't feel admired. When is the last time that you just admired a man? Not necessarily your man, but just manhood. A man that you know that you respect and admire. Hey, I just want to let you know I really appreciate your contribution to the team today. You gave some really, really good insight. Thank you. That's just to a male coworker. You ain't flirting with him. You don't want him. You're just admiring the fact that he's a man and he has provided some much needed, valuable contribution to the team. Way to go, champ. Just wanted you to know. You meet a veteran. Hey, I just wanted to know. I just want to tell you, thank you for your service. So many of us kind of take for granted the freedoms that we get to enjoy. And I just, I saw your hat. I just wanted you to know, thank you. And then just walk away. The man is gonna stand there like, what just happened? Am I being punked? Where's the cameras? Where's Ashton? Where's Ashton Kutcher? I know he's gonna jump out. These are things I want you to practice because if you practice them, they will become habits. We don't value men for just their intrinsic value. And I'm not telling you to submit to every man. What I'm saying is that you just need to get into the habit of acknowledging, respecting, and having a healthy general admiration for the male species. That's what I'm saying. Feminism lied to you. Feminism has led so many of us to be broke, busted, disgusted, and lonely because we believed the lie. We believed that we could have it all and do it all on our own, and that we don't really need the man. We'll take his resources, we'll take his seed. But outside of that, I mean, what good is he to me? You believed that lie. And now here we are in this morally debased culture with no semblance of a solid foundation because we don't have any family values and women don't want to be traditional. And men are just like, okay, well, I'm going to just go where I can find that. And they're doing it. And this is not something that's no happening on. Listen, my brother is becoming a passport bro. Okay. And he's nice looking brother. Love my brother to pieces, but he done. Okay? Love him to pieces. My brother is not a believer, but he and I talk about this all the time. Had it not been for the pandemic, he would have been gone. The pandemic is what slowed him down. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. Like, I can't go. Like, he wanted to cry. He was just like, I just gotta go. He wanted to go so bad because he moved here from New York. He was like, New York is real bad. He was like, dang, Atlanta is terrible. He was like, what is wrong with these women? I was like, listen, bro, they a mess. I know they a mess. They a mess. He's been, I think, to Brazil either once or twice. He's still making plans. He's like, listen, I'm out. He gone. I'm telling you what I know. And my brother is a patient, long-suffering man. Like, he will put up with a lot. And even he is like, as Martin was saying, ain't gonna be able to do it. Just ain't gonna be able to do it. Ain't gonna be able to do it. Oh, okay. I missed the super chat. I am so sorry. Let me acknowledge that. Lisa Leeper, it's no longer popular to be a virtuous woman. Let's get back to be Lisa. You better talk that talk, sis. Oh, we're gonna talk about it. Because that's essentially what Sister Lisa said. That is the problem. Amongst the Christian community in the household of faith, I expect the pagans to be pagans, right? But in the Christian community, we need this admonition too, because we are not living out our God honoring roles like we are supposed to, because Christian men are having this complaint too. Our houses are not all in order like they should be. There's lots of blame to go around, but I'm telling you, as Christian women, we are tearing down our own homes with our own hands. That is happening. And Sister Lisa is speaking the truth. Hopefully, I didn't miss any more. But if I did, oh, no, I got one. Brother Caldwell, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Great apologist, thorough with the word. As a former pastor, y'all better come on through here. Listen, I hope Brother Caldwell doesn't mind. I have met the beautiful Sister Caldwell. When I tell you, Sister Mari Cruz, not only is she gorgeous, okay, listen, she gorgeous. I was just like, oh, okay, like she on a whole nother level of pretty. Beautiful, brown, just sun-kissed skin. She is the sweetest, hospitable, kind. She is just a beautiful, wonderful Christian woman. Brother Rick, you want to know where his wife is from? Colombia. Yes, from Colombia, South America. As a former passport bro, he says, I am speaking nothing but facts. Y'all thought I was playing. I'm ugh. I want to help the people of God. And I even want this content to be valuable for those that are unconverted. Because the truth is the truth. It just is what it is. We don't have to like it, but we got to sit in it and we have to marinate in it, because in 25 years, if we continue at this rate, y'all think it's bad now. It's if you have children and you want grandbabies, What is that gonna look like? I have children. I have 4, right? I want grandbabies. I got a 12-year-old who's trying to get a passport. He told me he going to Japan to find his wife. I didn't teach him that. He is 12. He will be 13 next month. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to interview him. I want to ask young Brandon, son, why is it that you want to go to Japan? He asked me what maybe 3 or 4 months ago if I could change out his language coursework from Spanish to Japanese. And I'm like, why does this boy want to learn Japanese? He he got a plan. He is so not playing. He is 13. We got to wake up and pay attention because it is happening and this ship is going to sail with or without you. All right, let's continue. We're going to talk about these chief complaints. American Black women are too masculine. We are not feminine. Let me explain what I mean, right? Because when I say that, I hear a lot of women say, "Oh no, I'm very feminine. I'm a girly girl and I wear this and I wear that." I am not talking. Anybody can dress up and appear feminine, right? I'm not saying that you walk around with Timberland boots and some cargo pants. That's not what the men mean when they say that American, particularly American Black women are too masculine. What they're saying is that when it comes to how we relate to them and the energy we give off, it's very masculine versus feminine, meaning we're not resting in our roles as women because we want to be the man, right? So we want to take the lead. We want to usurp the authority. We want to be in charge. We want to call the shots. We want to run the money, right? We want to operate. We want to do everything, and we don't want to lovingly submit and be agreeable or cooperate unless it's on our terms. So when men talk about, they're just really masculine, for example, let's say you're engaging with a gentleman, right? Y'all are, you know, on a date or something. I don't know what y'all do these days. I've been out the game a minute. But let's say you're engaging with a man that you are interested in, right? An example of some masculine behavior might be you're talking about a topic, because I've heard it argued, some of these women will push back and say, well, no, he just doesn't like to be challenged. No, what he doesn't want is to deal with someone that's challenging, right? Challenge can be used in a positive sense, meaning she challenges me to be the best version of myself. She's pulling out the best in me. She's telling me that I can do it when she senses that I may not be confident on this one particular thing, but she believes in me and she knows that I can do it. And I just needed that extra, like, you can do it because you've done this and you've done this. So surely I know you can do that. That is a woman challenging you to be better. A woman that's challenging you in a masculine sense is one that's trying to tell you what to do and be matter of fact and say, well, for your information, if it would have been this and this and that and that, it's different. It's the energy, right? It's not understanding that you're really not running things. And when you come at men and you come at them a certain way, they're gonna step back like, who you think you're talking to, right? For example, years ago, you would never see women kind of roll up on a man and kind of jump in his face and threaten that she's gonna do this, that, and the third. That was like unheard of. But today, you see it all the time. You see women talking crazy to strange men they don't even know, right? Especially police, like you see it with police interactions. What's your badge number? What's your name? And then it get real serious when it get time for them to throw your behind on that floor and handcuff you. Now all of a sudden you want to be feminine, like, what did I do? Stop, you hurt me. No, that masculine energy, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. An inability to concede, right? You just have to assert your view, your point, your way of doing things. You don't know how to say, okay, well, we can try it that way. Let's see how that goes. No, it's got to be your way or the highway, and there's no wiggle room whatsoever because you have already decided that this is how it's going to go. Right? You're out at a restaurant and y'all are looking at the menu, and he's like, okay, you know what? I really want you to try something new. And I was thinking about, let's get this, that, and the third. Your masculine energy is like, ugh, I don't want that. No, this what we gonna do. I'm ordering this, that, and the third. And then he's sitting there like, oh God, ooh, ooh, she a lot. Okay. Oh, all right. What I'm saying to so many of us, it is so foreign that I know there are some of y'all sitting here like, I don't even understand. Like, I mean, I'm like this, but I didn't think it was a problem because you're just so comfortable being that way. And you've never seen in other cultures how they engage with their men. And so what I'm saying, it sounds like you're just like, it sounds unreasonable. That's what I'll say. What I am saying and what I'm describing, when I contrast American culture and these other cultures, it sounds so foreign to you that some of you are like, oh, I just, that's just not me. I could never be that way because you've been masculine for so long and you've never seen it modeled before you any alternative, that the thought of changing and course correcting and tweaking and making some modifications and adjustments, you just like, I don't think I'm able to do this, right? Like I'm probably just gonna be alone because it's too much. And I get that. If that's you, that's okay, right? That is perfectly okay. Cause I'm telling you, they're not knocking down your door to find you anyway. But for the women who are like, I'm hearing you, this is a challenge for me because I've been this way my whole life, right? But I see what she's saying because I've seen the hashtags, I've seen the YouTube videos, and I experience it out in the world when I go out. These men, I am the worst thing in a culture is for our most brightest and beautiful ones of us to be invisible. I'm going to say that again because y'all missed that. It is bad when you're like, I know I'm cute. I know I'm smart. I even work out. I even work out. And you're just out in the world and you're like, I really feel invisible to these men. That's when you know it's bad. It's bad because there are men in this chat who will affirm that they're like, I really just do not pay most women any mind anymore because they're all the same. They're all the same. Now, if you're like, I'm not her, I'm not like that, you gotta do. I put it like this. I am not the anecdotal evidence, but I am a real life experience. I am a real life example of the fact that by God's grace, I learned this at 25 and I learned it fast. I learned it fast enough to where I was like, oh, I got to do something different. How I was with the previous dude, I had to endeavor and resolve to say, I'm not bringing that baggage from that fool into this. Because this man right here, I knew he was a catch. And he didn't have to say what he was not going to put up with. He didn't have to say it. It was just, there was a level of, oh, I don't deal with that. There were these unspoken rules and conversations that my husband, well, my fiance at the time, well, the guy, he's my now husband. When we were dating, there were just these unspoken rules. One of those ladies was when we would go out, you pull your phone out, you're going to be sitting there eating dinner by yourself. And this was before smartphones. I think, babe, did we have analog flip phones? Ooh, I'm telling my age. I think we had analog flip phones. You could get text messages, but they were flip phones. Blackberries were out or sidekicks were out. But I think he and I both had flip analog phones. But if you pull out your phone on the date while he was like at the table, like you're gonna sit there by, he would leave. Now, thank God I never did that to experience that. But these are some of the standards and requirements that men who are experiencing the passport life, they that's normal for them. They're like, "Oh no, like if I'm spending my time with you and you're on your phone, oh no, that's a no-no, ladies." I get it. We live in a digital world where being connected is super important. But if you can't understand the art of being fully present and put that phone away and give your undivided attention, you might find yourself sitting at a table by yourself and you're gonna have to catch an Uber home. I'm just telling you. I know you're like, that is just so unreasonable. Like, what if it's a text from like my grandma? Well, you'd have to get the text from your grandma after the date because it's rude, right? To pull out your phone and to scroll on a date. But that's such a novel idea. And the reason why it's novel is because we're just so disrespectful. The idea of not pulling out our phone, some of us are addicted to our phone. I mean, listen, I get it. I am a techie. I got, the iPad, the laptop, the phone. I get it. But being fully present, we got to do that. I'm getting off on a tangent. Let me focus. Okay, let's go back. We're too masculine. We're not feminine. This one's hard. This one's hard. And I need you to hear this one with love, right? And you need to hear it with love because people who love you tell you the truth. Stateside, like women here in the West, we're overweight. We too big. I'm putting myself in that category. I'm on a fitness journey right now, but yes, I've popped out 4 kids, but it is no excuse. It is no excuse for me to not have a heightened level of self-control when it comes to this area. Many of us are stressed. We are stressed, and so we're eating because we're stressed, and we've got anxiety, and we've got all these things going on, and we have an improper relationship with food. Instead of food being nourishment, food is comfort. And when we use food as comfort, it causes us to gain weight. And then what happens is we get comfortable and used to the weight because we're like, well, I mean, I've been swole up for so long. Like, I mean, why can't he just accept me the way I am? And it's because men are who they are. Like, they don't really change much. And for the most part, they will be gracious. If you have bore his children, he is going to be incredibly forgiving about, 10 pounds per kid. But some of us, we know that this is not our 10-pound per kid weight. This is something else. And then for those of us who don't have children, we don't, that segment doesn't really have an excuse. You can shoot the messenger, but I'm just relaying the message. Our men are telling us that we team too thick. And what we've done is we've rationalized in our mind that curves um everywhere are good. Or we try to rationalize, well, my curves are in all the right places. So therefore, on some level, that is true, right? On some level, that is true. But we know that's not what we're talking about. When a man is looking at women in a perspective, I'm trying to wife you kind of sense, they are calculating. I will never forget. Y'all, this hurt my feelings so bad. I was dating my husband and we were doing what we always do. He was taking me to our favorite wing spot, right? He's taking me to our favorite wing spot. I'm 20 now. By this point, I hit my 20 because I met him in October of 2005. I turned 26 in March of 2006. We're at our favorite wing spot. I order, okay, yes, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I ordered 10 lemon pepper wings and like a double order of fries. I will never forget when that food, I was excited. I was hungry. It may have, I can't remember if it was Monday Night Football. I can't remember. Anyway, it's 11 o'clock at night. When that food came, y'all, I was inhaling those fries like my life depended on it. And that man sat there and he looked at me. He was like, "You can have some food." So he was like, "You can have some food, can't you?" And if y'all met my husband is real reserved, but he is so freaking funny. But he's funny in like a you don't know it's the joke until you actually like, wait a minute. Did he just clown me? But I'm laughing too. But then my feelings would hurt because he was like, he in his mind, he starts calculating, okay, if she keeps eating like this at this time of night and we're just dating, he had already did the mathematical calculation in his mind, like, okay, when we get married, are you gonna gain some weight? Then you're gonna have a kid, you're gonna gain some weight, and then depending on how many kids we want, he's already doing the math. And that scared him. It scared him so much so that next day, you know what that man said to me? He was like, you know what? Um, after work tomorrow, he was like, after work tomorrow, I'm going to LA Fitness. Do you want to go with me? And at first, I was excited because I'm like, oh, he wants me to go to the gym with him. How cute. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Is he trying to say I'm fat? Now, mind you, I was not overweight at all. But we were spending a lot of time together, and y'all, I was hiding some food. I was just happy. I was just happy. I'm in this relationship with this great guy. I don't have a care in the world. I'm just eating. He was like, "Yeah, we." He was like, "Well, no." This was right before my 26th birthday. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, let me backtrack. I know it was before my 26th birthday, and it was still cold because we had started going to the gym. After that night at our favorite wing spot, the next day he was like, okay, meet me at LA Fitness. And we go to LA Fitness and I get a membership. And he starts showing me around, working all the machines. And then I was thinking this was just like a 1 day event. He was like, oh no, we're gonna be here like 3, 4 times out the week. Like I need you to he didn't ask me. He told me, he was like, no, I need you to meet me here. Like this, we're gonna do this. We're like doing this together. Y'all, that man got me so fine. I will never forget because on my 26th birthday, I still have the pictures where I wore this little white tank top and this little denim skirt and these little pink heels. And honey, when I tell you them legs was popping, listen, he got me right. I didn't even realize what had happened. By the time my birthday came, your girl was snatched. I was right. On my I'm feeling good. It's my birthday. Had my hair done, had my little outfit. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, like what have you been doing? Like you look really good." I even had one I had one dude who hadn't seen me in a long time. He was like, "Oh, he was like, you look really good." He was like, "You lost some weight. Like I can see it all in your face." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Was I fat?" Like I'm questioning my reality because I'm like, everybody's saying I look really good. And I'm like, was I fat? It wasn't that I was not fat, but he got me fit. He did get me fit. I didn't even realize what had happened because he saw me. He saw the habits that I had started because I was in the relationship and I was happy and we were hanging out a lot. It was no thing to be out on a Monday night, knowing I got to be to work the next day at 11 o'clock eating wings, lemon pepper wings, and French fries. I mean, but it was starting to add up, y'all. And I think the man got scared and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need you to do something about this." And we did not have the conversation like, "Listen, you're gonna have to get this eating under control or we gonna have some problems." I just got the clue. Okay. You just gotta be self-aware and get the clue. So I hope y'all enjoyed that story because it hurt my feelings, but it was for my own good. And yeah, it was super cool. It was super cool. So anyway, uh, let's see. Where are we? See if I missed anything. I have not. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the show. We are almost done. I promise you. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I do have an exhortation. And I don't want you guys to take this stream as like, why is she tearing up on us some bad? Because sometimes you just need somebody to tell you in love, like you in danger, boo. Okay, like you in danger, and these are what the men are doing. This is where they're going, and this is what they're saying. And if we don't do something different, it's going to get worse for us. Okay. Um, so I dealt with the overweight part. I know that was hard. I tried to do that as graciously as I could, but we all know when we just dealing with too much. Like you know it. You don't feel healthy. Joints start aching, getting in and out the car. You start doing the ooh child, like you know. Not traditional. Another chief complaint of men in general is that these women, modern American women, want to be like men, right? We want to I get, this gender pay wage gap or something. I don't really buy it because we don't really want the jobs that men are actually doing, but we literally want to be the man, right? We want to be the man in a relationship. We want to call all of the shots. We're just unwilling to kind of just play our role. And what comes along with that is being too materialistic, right? Meaning we're placing an overemphasis on things and stuff in an effort to kind of be on the hamster wheel and constantly chasing the bag. So much so, we're chasing the bag at the expense of our families, at the expense of our children. We are racking up an enormous amount of debt, particularly in pursuit of these useless degrees, all because we think it's going to make us happy. And we think that the social standing and the social capital that we're going to get from these degrees is going to fill the emptiness that's on the inside. I am telling you, there's no greater feeling in terms of feeling content and joy than having a nuclear family with a husband and some kids and learning to be satisfied with the lot in life that you've been dealt. Finding that gratitude and that joy and that contentment in Christ alone. There is nothing like that. Realizing and recognizing that you can be happy with less, but you have so much more in comparison to what everybody else thinks what you should have and where you should be in life, right? A home is filled with love and joy and the pitter patter of feet and even the mess. You can find gratitude and gratefulness in the Cheerios on the floor and the goldfish in the bed. Not saying that that's a thing, but what I'm saying is that the overemphasis on the material is causing us to miss out on some amazing men because we believe that unless you are coming to the table with this list of things that I say make you a man, we're missing out. And these men recognize that there is more to me, right, than the revenue that I'm able to generate for you. There's more to me than that, right? And they're finally saying, if that's all I am to you, fine. I'm not going to make you change who you are. What I'm going to do is I'm going over here where there are some traditional minded women who are going to see me as a necessity and they're going to see the value that I bring to her life. And it's not coming with all this pressure. And I know the pushback from American women are going to be like, well, I mean, if I could do it, why can't you catch up? Right? Like, why you got to be trailing behind me? Do you leave room for the possibility that there are men who are like, I've been on the pursuit of wealth and things, and it didn't bring me happiness. It didn't bring me joy. I'm not saying that money is not important, right? I'm a capitalist. So obviously, I believe that money is important. What I'm trying to help you recognize that you can be on the pursuit of stuff and be completely miserable because once you get the stuff, you're going to find out that the void and the cavity and the depth of your emptiness is so much deeper than the stuff. And now that you have the stuff, you're trying to figure out, why am I still empty? Why do I still not have joy? This is part of the reason why my now husband was a former passport bro, because he realized that, I'm going down there and I am experiencing life. It was just an amazing experience down there. But I've met a girl and she's short, she's a little spunky, but she accepts me for who I am. I don't have to change and be something that I'm not. I don't have to put on pretense. I don't have to pretend. She's willing to compete for my time and my affection. Why not give her the world? Why not sacrifice my life? Give her the seed of my loins. Like, why not quit this job? Right? Quit the job and be like, I'm here. If you're here, I'm here. We here. This is all I'm trying to listen. These passport bros, it is a phenomenon. And some men are beyond the point of no return. And some of them we not getting back. We just gonna have to accept and be like, all right, we've lost a segment of our men. But you know what's really sad, but fortunate for many of us, is that some of these passport bros, they're like, you know what? If we even saw that women were making measurable progress in this area and were making an effort and they would try, they would work with that. I guarantee you they would. If they're like, you know what? She is acknowledging that she is deficient in so many areas and she just didn't know and she did not recognize that she was being this way and interacting this way, and she didn't know, but she came to me on the humble tip like, listen, I saw who I really am in the mirror and I don't like what I saw, and I want to do something different and I want to learn. Teach me, help me, give me the wisdom and the tools that I need to be the woman that you desire. Do you not think that man is not going to step up and be like, "Oh, well she's coming. I'm I'm giving her all of me." This is how it works. They really do want to be here. We've pushed them out. Some of them, I don't know if they're going to come back, but there has to be course correction. I'm going to give you some tools and resources to course correct. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you Jesus, because you can learn these external things to kind of appear like you're playing the part. And I think it's a beautiful and amazing thing that our South American and our Thailand and our Filipino sisters, I think it's still a blessing that they get to be raised with these traditional values, Christian or non-Christian. The values just work, right? I think it is beautiful that they are actually still this way and they've not been corrupted by the sinful, feministic, misandrous ways of the West. But even in that, apart from Christ, all of us are jacked up and messed up anyway, right? I hope y'all didn't think that I was going to walk away and you wasn't going to get the gospel. Absolutely not. The gospel is actually the answer that fixes so many of these ills. The enmity between men and women, I cannot tell you what the gospel did for me and my husband's marriage when we got married as unbelievers. But once the Lord saved us, it supernaturally reoriented my thinking to help me recognize, okay, yeah, I caught him, but I have to learn to submit, and I've got to learn how to be a wife so I can keep him. Because it's one thing to be like, well, I got you now, but it's another thing, like, can you maintain it? Can you keep him wanting to keep coming home? The scriptures give us the wisdom and knowledge that we ladies need to course correct. So we've done the chief complaints. Now I want to do some of the female rebuttals because we got some rebuttals, right? These are the rebuttals that you hear from women just out in the streets who, when they hear about this phenomenon, thank you, Sister Shamika. Thank you so much for your contribution. This is a beautiful sister. Brothers, just I ain't trying to put your business out there, Shamika, but just saying, just saying. I know some. I know some. Listen, I'm a reformed, rebellious, wayward woman myself, right? I've been redeemed by the blood of the lamb, and it's been a journey, but this journey of sanctification, the Lord has been gracious to me and has taught me so much, and I want to pour that into other young women. We out here, they're out here. So if you know this doesn't apply to you, it don't apply to you. But if it applies to you, then it applies to you. Thank you, sister, for that super chat. I really appreciate that. So these are the rebuttals. But before we do that, I got one more super chat that I missed. The Esquire of Sports. I saw the title of this last night and I said, I got to get on here for this live. If anything, Christian men should be spearheading this movement, in my opinion. 43 and still yet to find Proverbs 31. He's still here, y'all. He's still here. He ain't left yet. He just looking for the virtuous woman. Like, who can find her? Right? I'm gonna give y'all some wisdom from the scriptures. Thank you for joining me, the Esquire of Sports. I appreciate that contribution. Christian men, I agree. We should be spearheading this conversation. Why? Because even in all of these other societies and cultures, they're borrowing from the Christian worldview. Their women still have the sense enough to recognize that these traditional values, which are derived from how God created just the natural order of things, they're borrowing from our worldview. And so, our Christian women, those of us who are born from above, this rebellious behavior should not be named among us. So some of us have some repenting to do. We have some repenting for our current behavior. You know, when you acting a fool and you out of pocket, right? And then some of us, we're like, you know what? I made some bad choices. I made some bad mistakes and it has landed me here. But I am coming with a humble, broken spirit, contrite heart. I want to do something different. That can be you too. I don't believe anybody is beyond the grace of God. Absolutely not. You can be 50 and get the lesson and learn. Absolutely. But it requires it's going to cost you something. And it's going to cost you to let go of all that baggage that you learned from mom and them and your aunties and all them hating girlfriends and them hyenas or the gynocracy. Nah, you got nope. Nope. You got to leave them alone. Leave them alone. All right. Let's get to these female rebuttals. Some of the rebuttals from a segment of the community when they hear about the phenomenon of the passport bros, they say, oh, well, these black men, they don't know how to court, a strong black woman. And, the only reason why these men are down there is because they're emulating their white masters. And I've seen in these chats and these groups and in Facebook and YouTube comments, they've called these men scum, predators, and in some instances, pedophiles. And I even recently heard a black woman, and actually I hear it a lot, that they just tired of struggling with y'all. We just tired of struggling with you. Like, we're managing to accomplish all of this. And in their mind, they think they're accomplishing something, right? We're accomplishing all of this. Well, why can't y'all do the same? If I can do it, you can. And they're completely missing the point. I find those rebuttals, they are so insulting. And this is another reason why they're becoming passport bros. When you actually tell a man, first, you're assuming that you can discern his heart, which you can't. And you're making these broad, sweeping statements. and saying that, he's just mimicking the oppressor. That's victim language, right? When a woman speaks like that, she's speaking that way because she's like, I'm the victim, right? I'm the victim. And, once again, instead of being wise and looking within, instead of taking a pause to engage with the actual arguments that are being presented, all they do is deflect. So they're the victim, they deflect, and it's the boogeyman out there. It's the white man. It's the supremacist system that taught you you want the woman of your oppressor. Like, you sound crazy, lady. No, you're oppressive. Like, you're insufferable. No one wants to be around you. We can't even go out to eat with you because even when you out with your girlfriends, you the one is sending everything back. I mean, this was too cold, this was too crispy, and this just wasn't prepared to my standards. And I'm not gonna be able to pay for this. Knowing you broke and ain't got no money, right? You ain't had no money to pay for the meal in the first place. So now you just trifling. You know who you are. You miserable and you trifling and you don't have no joy. You need Jesus. Absolutely. Yes, you need Jesus. You need to be made alive in Christ Jesus. I'm just saying. But these are the arguments. These are the rebuttals because they don't want to engage with the argument. They don't want to listen intently and say, "Okay, these are what the men are saying." Instead of me dismissing what they're saying, why don't I actually listen, be pensive about it, really think it through, self-examine, be self-aware and say, "Well, you know what? I can see." Instead of making excuses and saying, they're just mimicking their oppressors, right? And they're being predatory. All of those things are so insulting. Did you leave room for the possibility that it's just you? It's you. They they all can't be wrong, sis. Everybody's wrong, right? Your employer, he only hires you because he need a watchdog, because he know your attitude is halfway decent enough to where he can deal with you, but he can sick you on the clients to shut down because you the watchdog. You're the gatekeeper, right? Just just saying. Those are some of the female rebuttals. Now, so what is the problem? Here's the problem. Here is what I experienced myself, and I happened to learn the lesson before it was too late. American women refuse. Not that we're incapable, and that we can't, we refuse to compete. Meaning, I'm not talking about competing by thinking that we got to go and get the BBL. We got to go and actually buy the Brazilian hair. I'm not talking about competing in, like, we got to get snatched and we got to, skin bleach. That's not the competition I'm talking about. Those are all external things that men don't even like anyway. We're doing all this compensation with the extra hair and the lashes and we just out here doing stuff, thinking if I do this, I'll be able to compete on the same level and be like these women without recognizing that, sis, it ain't the externals. That's not the competition. We don't want to compete because we realize that it would force us to self-examine, look within, and be like, oh, snap, we got to change. Like, I got to change. I can't be the argumentative, abrasive, unreasonable, unrelenting, always wanting to fight, don't know, how to create a peaceful environment, too good to fix a plate, just don't want to cook. Like, the list can go on. We don't want to compete in that sense. We'll compete by spending the money, on the surgery. We will go to the hair salon and just drop a dub. Well, what's a dub? 100? No, Some of us are dropping the G, like $1,000 on bundles. We will look the part, but we don't know how to be the part. And the thing is, we don't know what we don't know, because what we realize is that the women down there they're relatively simple. Now, granted, I ain't gonna listen. I ain't raining on nobody's parade. I have seen these women. I got the pictures and the VHS evidence to prove it. These women are gorgeous. Like, I'm like, Lord, what kind of pretty is this? They are beautiful, but they're beautiful in just like they it's not a contrived, like, I've put in a whole lot of effort to kind of be this way beautiful. It's like, oh, let me just put some lip gloss on, put this little tank top on and a cute little skirt and some sandals, and I'm cute. That's the kind of cute they are. And it's simple. They're simple. Even the one they don't have to have much. Like, they're not in the latest fashion with the high-end designer clothes. They're just like, this is me. But they don't need all of that. Why? Because they come with default settings of the basics that men want. I mean, that's just like their factory settings, like out the box, without any modifications. They just doing the basics. Fit, feminine. I hate to sound like Kevin Samuels, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. At some point, we have to acknowledge that, you know what, he was on to something, and we just got mad because we weren't expecting a black man to tell us. So I'm a black woman. Now I'm telling you, you can hate me, and I'm okay with that. Why? I'm already a Christian. I'm already used to being hated for the cause of Christ. So you just want to throw some more reproach. It's fine. It is fine. I still love you. I still want the best outcomes for us. I love the community, okay? I love seeing black men and black women and little black babies and white men and they women. Because listen, white men, y'all having struggles with y'all women too. Like the feminism has hit my Caucasian brothers hard, and they are struggling too. It's hitting all communities, the ones in the West that are native to this country. The immigrants are not having this problem because they come here and they retain and keep their culture. Now, some of them do get a little Americanized and start smelling themselves, but for the most part, when these men bring their women here and kind of keep them away from the culture, they don't really have these problems. It's on some rare occasions that they become Americanized and they start hanging out with their American girlfriends, and American girlfriends actually corrupt the women. So you got to be careful. I'm just saying. Y'all know I'm not lying. And that's fine. That's fine. It don't make it any less true. Um, yeah, looking at it this way, somebody said the Standard of Truth podcast. Kevin's message from a practical standpoint was accurate if you can separate the curse. Right. Like he wasn't, I know I get backlash for this, but I know he professed to be a believer, but there were just some things about some of the things he were promoting that were inconsistent and incompatible with the Christian faith. But the man was speaking the truth. And I always find the ones who get angry the most are the ones that the shoe was fitting and it was real tight. It's like, dang, the shoe does fit. So it just is what it is. It just is what it is. But that's part of the problem. We don't want to compete. We don't want to compete. And we've American women in the West have internalized feminism to our own detriment. We have listened to the voices and the spaces that told us that the ideology of feminism was good and that it was progress and that it would empower us, right? That's what they told us. And because I used to be a feminist, I can absolutely tell you that that was a lie. It doesn't work. And it will keep you alone if you internalize that messaging and actually hold it like it's a badge of honor. Yes, it will destroy you. It will keep you from so much. And that's what it's designed to do. Because if you think about it from a biblical perspective, feminism is really an anti God agenda. It is anti the natural order that God ordained and established. So if you're subscribing to a feministic agenda and you claim the name of Christ, you claim to be a Christian, it's incompatible. You're literally denying what the Lord naturally established male and female roles and how they were meant to operate, right? The other problem is that there is zero humility, but lots of entitlement. For example, when you hear that women say things like they won't date a man that has less education with them than them, that demonstrates a complete lack of humility because what they're doing is they're tying in their value to this achievement, right? They've managed to amass a certain level of course credit hours that earns them this degree, and they equate that degree to some sort of intrinsic value that they believe that men actually care about, but they don't. And so they lead with that and say, well, then if you don't have the same level of education that I do or more, then there's really nothing for us to talk about. That's a problem. And it leads to a sense of entitlement because you're unwilling to compete on the basic levels, right? The basic levels that I talked about, you compensate with these things, and it leaves you with like an inflated sense of self and a really warped perception of who you are. And that's just the truth. If the Lord has blessed you to be able to go and pursue higher education so that you could advance yourself in terms of making more money, that is great. But you should never use um because you were able to achieve that as some sense of litmus test to your value or what you should deserve or be entitled to. Hopefully I explained that well. Zero self-awareness is another problem. Our mouths are getting us in trouble every time. I can't tell you how many women that will actually say the quiet part out loud. I'm going to spend a little time on this because I'm middle aged. I'm slightly older. Like I'm a Generation Xer. And there was a point in time where like this is not supposed to be named among Christian women. So I'm gonna move my Christian women aside, but you'll be able to identify with what I'm saying because you've seen it. I know y'all have seen it. There was a point in time where like if all you were interested in was a man's wallet, you didn't say that. Like nobody knew, right? You were there was this discretion, right? There was just way you kind of just maneuvered in the world to where nobody really knew, right? That you would, I guess we could use the term gold digger, right? Now, that is just an awful way to be. It is not a Christian characteristic by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm bringing it up because these women lack self awareness. They actually say the most ignorant things out loud, and then they wonder why nobody is looking to wife them. They say things that are demeaning to men. They say things with this sense of superiority and entitlement. And the mouth is just going, and men are just taking notes. Like it's like the more they talk, he's just like, "Yep, I don't want her. Definitely, absolutely not." And it's all because she tells on herself by the words that are coming out of her mouth. And it's just sad to watch because you're just like, "Oh, if you some of them, if I could just snatch them up a little bit and be like, listen, I really just need you to be quiet for like 5 minutes. Just listen to what this brother is saying. He's trying to teach you something, but you're too hard-headed to know what you don't know. Be quiet." This not being self-aware and recognizing your own limitations, your own inadequacies, but having this inflated sense of self. I don't know if it's social media that's contributing to it. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know, but it's causing problems. It's like the main problem. So, we're almost done, guys. Here's what won't work, right? There's so many women that instead of engaging in a meaningful way with the concerns and the arguments that the men are putting forth, they're just projection, shame, right? They're just, I'm ad hominem attacks. I'm gonna just call you names. I'm gonna call you weak, you a dusty, you broke. Who are you? You ain't nobody. Like just tearing them down all because they can't engage in a meaningful way. And these are not just little young girls. These are mature women that are unable to engage in a mature adult conversation without resorting to the verbal violence. That's what I like to call it. Oh, like so you using your words as weapons now. Okay, I see. That's not going to work. They're already leaving, right? The passport bros, they're already signed up for the passports. They've already made their contacts in their respective countries. Like they're getting on the plane. They're going. When you hear that this is what's happening, instead of you having genuine concern, like, wow, like they're leaving the country and exploring other options. And it's not because we're not pretty. They actually want to be with women like us. Not that we're not pretty, but it's something else. It's actually our attitudes and the way we act and the way we interact with them. And we're not coming preloaded with the basics, to live peaceful and quiet lives with these men. What's not gonna work are you shaming them for feeling the way that they feel. They want what they want. And what they're asking for, it's not unreasonable, right? It's what men through all of antiquity have always wanted. We've just succumbed to this modern feministic agenda that has lied to us and has placed us in this category where we think we deserve something else, but yet we're not bringing anything that these men actually want or that they find valuable. And so it's not going to work calling them names, cussing them out, or just, saying, well, that's them and that's their problem. I'm going to be okay. No, you're not, sis. I'm telling you, they leaving. They're leaving. So either you're going to pay attention and be like, okay, I'm going to be the change that I want to see, or I'm just going to lay down and do nothing and it's just going to happen, right? Pointing to and focusing on the men, we could do that. We could actually have a whole show about what we think men are not doing and why aren't they doing this and why aren't they doing that. We could do that. We could have an entire show about that. But here's my question. What is that going to achieve? Men, I believe that women speak ad nauseum about men and not in a meaningful way. We're always pointing out there. We do a lot of that. We're very good at that. But we don't see a lot of introspection. When is the last time you sat in a woman's meeting or a woman's group and you actually examined your heart and were just honest with yourself and said, I have some really sinful tendencies. I get really rageful with my husband and I don't know why I did that. And it was so sinful and it was so wrong. And I need to get to the heart of what's going on in here. Can you ladies help me? Can we just kind of walk through and talk through what might be driving that? Like, when's the last time you sat in a meeting like that where you actually Instead of projecting out there and pointing the finger out there and blaming everybody out there, that you actually looked within yourself and said, you know, maybe I am angry because I saw my mama work her hands to the bone, and daddy left and he was gone, and I absolved that I was not going to be broke like that. And so I just strived and strived and strived to earn money and to get these degrees and to get this job, and I'm dropping the ball because I'm emasculating, the men in my life, and they love me, but they don't really want to spend significant time around me. Maybe it is me. Maybe I lack joy. I'm not fun to be around. I don't smile cuz I'm stressed cuz I'm working all the daggone time. I'm not able to find the joy in life. The joy of the Lord is not my strength. I'm real weak right now. And this is why I act the way that I do. When's the last time you sat and had that discussion with your girlfriend? I find many of us, we claim we love each other and it's all about the sisterhood and we got each other's back. We are lying because we don't. We let our sister friends show out. And not only that, we cheer her on. You showed him, girl. That's right. You don't you let him get away with that. You did the right thing. We never be like, sis, you was out of pocket for that. Like you really owe him an apology. Like I know you upset, but that wasn't the way to handle it. And now things are like really bad and messed up. And I don't even know if you can fix it. When's the last time you heard your girl, bad mouthing her husband, and yes, he may not be doing all that he's supposed to, but when's the last time you encouraged her and said, you know what, we're gonna pray. We're going to pray for him and we're going to pray for you, and we can't control him and what he does, but what we can do is we can only be responsible for us. And what we're going to do, we're going to live before him. He might be going through a rough patch right now. Something's going on with his sanctification. He's a little irritable. What we're going to do is by our Christian conduct, we're going to win him over, sis. You going to kill him with kindness. Even the times when you don't want to cook, you going to cook. And you going to put your foot in that food too, right? That's what you're going to do. And you know what I'll do? I'll bake a cake. I'll bake a cake and I'll drop it off. And you don't even have to tell him I made it, girl. Just pass it off like you. When do we do that? When do we ever encourage our girlfriends, girl, let me let you get off this phone. I just heard your husband walk in. Let me let you go so you can tend to tend to your people, tend to your man. No. We take it personal, like, what you mean you gotta go? Like, he can wait. I'm in the middle of my story. Let me finish. No. When do we have those conversations? Just things that I want you to think about. Because what we're currently doing is not working and is not gonna work. Because if we continue to do the same thing we've been doing, that's insanity, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. So we almost done. Here is the exhortation. This is where I admonish my sisters in the word. I'm going to give you some Bible. And I'm giving you some Bible because I could tell you all day long, right? I could tell you all day long to just, you know what? Just mimic what these women are doing and you're going to be all right. We could do that. Now, for some people that might actually work. You might be able to fake it long enough to where you just, I'll just mimic what they do and we will see what happens. But what we actually need is we need a work of the heart to happen. Our hearts have to change. We got to recognize what's going on, and there has to be a change in the heart. None of us have arrived. I have not arrived. There are times when my husband got to be like, "I little red Corvette, you need to pipe down because I don't know who you talking to." Oh, I'm sorry, boo. I am so sorry. None of us, none of us have arrived. This sin nature and this flesh will always rise up and challenge us to not live in harmony and in unity, because that's what sin does. Sin, it just wants to create chaos and confusion. But we are to rule over and master it. So, I did. Somebody asked if I said anything about obesity, weight issues. I did. I mentioned it. I recognize it is a sensitive topic, but it had to be addressed. We all could. None of, I mean, unless you just a four all the time in perpetuity. Listen, I applaud you. Culturally, I'll just say something quickly about that. Our diets are different. In South America, they eat a lot of protein. They eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. It is just plentiful. They don't eat a lot of carbohydrates and processed, refined foods. And so a lot of this excess weight that we're carrying, it's just a byproduct of our Western culture. But when you go to other parts of the world and you see how they eat, they're not vegans. They're eating meat and lots of it. They just keep bringing it. Sometimes you be like, hey, that's enough. I'm done. I'm not hungry no more. They eat a lot of complete proteins. They eat a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits. And they don't live sedentary lifestyles. These people are walking everywhere. They just hopping and skipping and just there's merriment. It's just different. I can't explain it. But the passport bros that are in the chat, y'all know what I'm talking about. It is different. They're riding bikes, little scooters, they're walking. They're just moving, right? Moving because of the culture. They just have a very different culture. Is not as it's metropolitan, but it is not urban in the sense that it's this rat race. It's not like that. And so our lifestyles are just different. So we women here in the West, because we've adopted this modern Western lifestyle, I know for me, my biggest issues are the carbs, the bread, the potatoes, I love Chick-fil-A fries. Like, Lord Jesus, those are the Lord's fries because they're just so good. But those refined oils, that's a problem, right? Too many omega 6. We have an imbalance of omega 3s and omega 6. The refined oils leads to the inflammation. Our bodies are just holding on to just waste. We eat a lot of toxic chemical franken foods. Other countries put warning labels on their genetically modified foods. Us, we like, they don't need to know. They gonna eat it. They don't even care what they feed us. We don't demand it. You go to Europe, if they're selling American food and you look at the ingredients panel, they put a sticker over their food label to let them know, Frankenfood alert, this is genetically modified. All these ingredients here with a star, GMO, GMO, GMO. Just to let you know, look, you eat at your own risk. Us, half of y'all are probably like, what's a GMO? Now, I hope you would know what a GMO is, but a lot of people don't. Our diets are just different. And so when it comes to how we eat, our body composition, the weight just falls different. A lot of us hold a lot of our weight in our midsection because we're insulin, we have insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. So you got all these metabolic syndrome issues, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, and the obesity. It's the trifecta. These are all diet and lifestyle diseases. And so we don't look like they do because it's just different. We eat different. And we don't have the active lifestyles that they have. We can learn a lot by just examining other cultures and how they live. If you ever want to be interested in how other cultures don't have the same degenerative diseases we do, just look into the China study where, they did a study of basic different nutritional profiles and people that just didn't eat the standard American diet, the incidences of heart disease and cancer and all the metabolic syndrome, like they just don't have that. So now, not only do they not have baby mama culture, they got better diets too. And all of this we can't blame on the man. Like nobody is, tying us down and stuffing food in our mouths unopposed. That's not happening. So, um oh no. Now I'm gonna read your comment again because you left me a super chat. He said, "This part is just as much of the reason for me wanting to leave than anything. I can find a nice woman in the rural South, but so much poison in this so-called food nowadays." Listen, yep. It it is. It's really bad. And this is something, this wasn't even in my notes, but that men even have to consider because modern Western civilization, our idea of nutrition is so warped. If you do marry American women, and I might actually do some content about this, she's gonna raise your children and feed your children the same way that she eats. That's just a fact. Everyone knows that when the mama is aware of nutrition and has a basic general understanding of health and wellness, that the overall health of the family will follow. That is a problem that I am seeing in American households because, a man, he'll marry a woman like, she's a great wife, but I don't know, like, why are my kids overweight? It's like, well, what do they eat? What are you feeding them? It's just it is a very sad reality of our modern Western culture. We're not taught how to nourish ourselves. And when you have the food pyramid as debased and just wicked, like, I don't know if you guys saw the latest food pyramid, but the latest food pyramid, they're actually pushing at the base of the food pyramid is like junk and processed food, saying, it's fine. You can eat all of that in moderation, like it's all good. And they're putting less emphasis on proteins and plants. Don't tell me that's not by design. They need to create their next generation of customers. So if they can keep you sick, fat, and nearly dead, they will. Because they know if you experience metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, obesity, and diabetes, they can keep you on metformin for the rest of your life. They can keep you on all of these high blood pressure medications. Then they're going to want to put you on the blood thinners. And then they know what they're doing. If they can keep you just perpetually sick, not to where you die, but just to where your life is just so miserable that you're on 6, 7, 8, 9 medications, they've achieved their goal. And so I hear a lot of American men concerned, like, I love my wife, but I got to figure out a way to, teach her how to nourish the family because our meal choices, like our food, like what we're eating it's just not good. Um Whereas women in other cultures, they eat different. They are not eating, fast food a lot. They're not, stuff is not microwave, just throw it. No, they actually prepare meals at home with actual ingredients. And so they tend to be a lot thinner, and their children, for the most part, I'm speaking in generalities, but the children are not, overweight. They just don't have the health challenges that we do. So, um, little Hank Chicken Grease and little linebacker babies. Right, right, right. I mean, it's just there's levels to this, but let's go back to the exhortation because I have some scriptures that when we examine the culture, it's cultural differences that are driving the passport bro movement. I know y'all heard, well, they going down there doing this and they going down there doing that. And, there's a segment that's probably doing that. But at the heart of it, that's not even it at all. And I think it's insulting to say that the men are going down there for these superficial reasons, but somehow they're coming back with wives. I don't know. I think it's just superficial and it's a smokescreen that prevents us from saying, okay, let's self-examine, why are they going down there? Like, we can come up with all these other anecdotal excuses, or we can actually hear what the men are actually saying, and it's culture. Culture is the motivation. So here's the exhortation. We're going to have to heed wisdom, right? Adhering to the wisdom found in scripture, honestly, you guys, it is enough. It is enough to help women course correct and get better outcomes. So let me go ahead and read to you. I'm going to read to you Proverbs, from Proverbs 1, in terms of the scriptures has the scriptures have a lot to say about wisdom and wisdom's role in the life of the believer, right? Proverbs 1, I'm going to start at verse 20, and just take a listen, right? Wisdom cries aloud in the streets. In the markets, she raises her voice. At the head of the noisy streets, she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. How long, oh simple ones, will you love being simple? I love the scriptures. Y'all think I'm rough? Like Solomon out here, like, how long, you oh simple, and y'all gonna be simple, right? I, I said what I said. How long, oh simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? Basically, everything I've said on this live stream, how long are you going to just remain staying simple, blaming everybody else, scoffing at these men who've made these decisions to say, I'm going to search out there for the wife of my youth because I don't want I'm tired of dealing with the cultural problem here in America. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, the Developing Dad podcast, Brother Michael Griffin just did a live stream the other day building a biblical case for it being biblical for a man to leave his country and go seek him out a wife in a foreign land. I'm not saying it's a prescription, but we have didactic. I mean, I'm sorry, we have um Lord, it's getting late. See, yep, I'm at the 2 hour. Yep, I'm about to wrap it up. We have examples in the scriptures of men literally doing this. They just didn't require a passport back then, but the concept is still the same. Whether the women in their hometown were worshiping other gods, or in the inverse, like, don't take women from over there because they're idolaters and they do this, that, and the third. The concept of leaving your home, country, or domicile to find other women with different values is a thing. And the scriptures here are literally saying, how long will scoffers delight in their scoffing? Like all these women who are, making fun and impugning ill motive. Y'all, excuse me. I'm sorry. My lips are dry. I gotta handle this. Impugning ill motive to these men who are choosing of their own recognizance to go elsewhere. They're just scoffing, right? But the scripture, like, how long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge, right? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you've refused to listen, this is wisdom speaking, right? Not literally, but you know what I mean. Because I have called and you refuse to listen and stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. And when terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call out to me. It's like after you heard the wisdom, you've listened to the admonition coming from the men and now coming from a woman. You've heard all of that and you choose to willfully scoff at it, make excuses for it, point to everything else out there instead of heeding to the wisdom and the knowledge being given to you. You've scoffed and you've mocked, refusing to listen. Now, when the calamity strikes you, wisdom is saying, they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me because they hated knowledge. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel and despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their way. Like you reaping what you sowing. Like you just going to eat. This is what you chose. Now you're experiencing the consequences of your rebellion and have their fill with their own devices. For the simple are skilled by their are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me, that is wisdom, whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of disaster. This is the cost of wisdom. So you had an exhortation to be like, listen, I'm trying to tell you something, right? Wisdom's knocking, giving you little tidbits. And when you continue to suppress the truth and unrighteousness, continue to push back, continue to rebel, continue to be like, it's not me, it's everybody else out there, then eventually wisdom is like, eventually you're gonna come looking for me, and I'll be like, who? I don't know. I don't know nothing about you. Nope. You're gonna eat the fruit of your own way. That was Proverbs 1, verses 20 through 33. I'm gonna skip on over to Proverbs number 9. We're gonna go to verse 19. Nope, I didn't mean that. I meant Proverbs 9, but I didn't mean. Maybe I meant Proverbs 10, verse 19. Yes, 17. Well, nope, 19. Proverbs 9, verse 19. My apologies. When words are many, transgression is not lacking, but whoever restrains his lips is prudent. That is the word that is a word to the wise regarding restraining this right here, this little member. Like the book of James tells us, when words are many, transgression is not lacking. Some of us just kind of need to sit back and listen to what these passport bros or the men who are telling you, like, in about 9 months, I'm about to be one. We need to listen to what they're saying. We need to listen. Proverbs 10, verse 17. Whoever heeds instruction is on the path to life, but he who rejects reproof leads others astray. Whoever heeds instructions on the path to life, meaning if out of all your girlfriends, you actually hear the wisdom, you hear the reproof, you take it, you take that wise counsel, you internalize it, you meditate on it, you listen, and you heed it. But out of you and all your girlfriends, when you reject it says, but he who rejects leads others astray. You the feisty, rebellious one that nobody, no matter what somebody tells you, you just like, no. You rebellious, but then you lead others astray. So if you just that one hating friend, that one was for you. Where you have a young friend or a girlfriend, and maybe you don't desire marriage, but she does. Does she feel uncomfortable expressing that to you because she knows the moment she says something to you, she got to hear the backlash? Like, I mean, you've been single this long, you might as well cut her loose. Cut her loose. Trust me, I've been there, y'all. I'm telling you what I know. Proverbs 11, verse 2. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with the humble is wisdom. Most of this succumbing to the basics that I've outlined that these women in these other countries are doing, it just take a little humility. Be like, I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. I get it. I didn't know either, sis. But it takes humility to be like, you know what? I just didn't know, but you ain't about to be caught slipping no more. I'm about to learn today. That requires humility. Proverbs 11, verse 22. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. That ain't cute, basically. The scriptures are saying you can be beautiful on the outside, have all the trappings of the just the hot chick that everyone wants. Now, if you're a Christian, I don't know how that's kind of working, but let's just say you love the Lord with all your heart. But like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman. When you lack discretion, it doesn't matter what's going on the outside. I mean, a pig is a pig. You can put a ring in his nose and it's just like, oh, that ain't cute. Like, he's still a pig. Same concept. Message. Like, hope you caught that. Proverbs 12, verse 4. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. If you're the wife and all you do is show out every chance you get, you emasculate your man in public, just being an embarrassment because you just have to assert yourself and you don't know when to zip it and be quiet. It's like rottenness in his bones when you bring shame and reproach like that. Like, this is just wisdom from the scriptures. Like, the scriptures are just speaking plain, right? Like, there's no deep exegesis here. I'm just reading the plain. It's just the plain reading of scripture. That's it. Last one, Proverbs 14, number 1. The wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. That one was deep right there because I've seen lots, or I should say, I've seen enough women tear down their own homes with their hands. And in their minds, they really think they're doing something. Destroyed whole families, um, thinking they were wise. You build it up, but then in your folly, you tear it down with your own hands. Sinful people sometimes become highly irrational and will foolishly destroy the fruit of many years of work. Don't let that be named among you. If you're married and you're having problems, go seek some help. But the first thing you need to do, seek the Lord and search your own heart. Instead of pointing the finger out there, do some self-examination. And for my married women on here who like, hey, this don't apply to me, I'm just enjoying the content. There's nothing wrong with doing a little introspection. I do it all the time. I like do a little pulse check with my man, like, babe, um, am have I been difficult lately? Or do you think that, I have I been making life, just unnecessarily hard for you? Like, I remember, I think was it last year? It was last year on our last vacation. Here, transparent moment. I'm so embarrassed, but it is what it is. On our last vacation, y'all know, or maybe you don't know. Um, Maybe it'll be a year in March since I went back to a relaxer. I've been natural. I mean, I wore my natural hair for like since 2010. So it was 11 years. And last year was the first year that I was like, you know what? I want to do something different. So I was like, I'm going to slap some creamy crack in my head. So I relaxed my hair. It's my hair, my prerogative. I do what I want to do. Talk with my husband. He was like, I don't care. If that's what you want to do. I like it natural. I like it perm. I met you perm. Then you went natural. I ain't going nowhere. We're good. So I permed my hair. And when we go on vacation, when I was natural, I did not really care about, okay, if we're gonna go swimming, I'm just gonna get in the pool. Like, I'm natural, like it's curly. So when it gets wet, it's gonna be curly. When I get out, it might, it may be a little frizzy, but it is what it is. My husband was so upset at me on our last vacation because he was like, all I asked is for us to come to the beach and have a good time, and the kids are splashing water, and all I keep hearing you talk about is this darn hair. He was like, "Don't nobody know you down here." He was like, "Nobody cares. Like, can you just have fun with us and get in the water?" Like, he was really, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal because I was just like, "Please don't splash water on me. I just did my hair, whoop de whoop. I don't want to have to do it again." Not realizing that I was being a Debbie Downer over something so silly and superficial when my husband was like, I just wanted you to be fully present with us and the kids. We at the beach. Like, you at the beach, you're gonna get wet, ma'am. So after he told me that, I felt bad. I was like, dang, like I'm doing it. It's something about when you have to be when you have to come face to face with your own sinfulness, and you just got to get real with yourself, be like, what am I doing? Like, all the man asks is for us to have a good time, and I'm just being silly over some hair. So on our next to last day, instead of going to the beach, we were like, we're just gonna go to the pool that's here at the resort. So we went to the pool, and I didn't plan it, but I replayed the words in my head about what he was saying about this obsession with this hair. And I was like, you know what? Let's just bump all of this. So out of nowhere, I got up from my little reclining chair. I took off my little cover up, little, mesh little cover up thing. And I was like, all right, guys, count to three. And I was like, 1, 2, 3. And I just jumped in the pool. When I tell you, first I thought my husband was gonna have a heart attack, and the kids were like, "Mommy jumped in the pool." I mean, everybody was like, I felt like it was like an NBA game, and I hit like a 3-point shot. They was just clapping, and they were so excited. I came up out the water, hair was all matted to my head, and they were like, "Yay, mommy's in the water!" And my husband just stood there. He was like, "That's all I wanted. That's it." He was like, that was the high. When we got in the car, he was like, I hope you realize. He said, girl, when you jumped in that water, he was like, that was the highlight of the whole vacation. He was like, you literally just let your hair down and you just had fun. You were there with us. We were in the pool. You weren't worried about your hair. You just jumped in the water. And he was like, that that was the icing on the cake. That made the whole vacation. He was like, now how you was acting the rest of the vacation, I don't really want to talk about that. He was like, don't do that again. He was like, I'm not going on no more vacations with you. If your hair is going to be an issue, you might need to figure something out, because when we go on vacation, we're coming to have fun. These people don't know you. Don't nobody care. We already know what your hair looks like when it's not done. So can you just not? And I was like, you know what? You're right. I I I I needed to humble myself and just acknowledge that what they needed in that moment, they didn't need their mama to be glamour girl. They needed mama to just be there with them, having a good time at the expense of my hair. And at the end of the day, I was overreacting because all I did when I went back to the room was got in the shower, washed my hair, put some of my little Nairobi wrapping foam, threw my scarf on, and I was fine the next day. He was like, see how easy that was? And I'm like, I know, babe. I know. You're right. You're right. I transparent moment. That's all he wanted. But I just was so caught up in the dumb that I hope y'all heard that and recognize in your own life, like, you know what, dear, I'm just being stupid. It's just not worth it. It's not. So the traditional women that these men and the passport bros want, y'all, this type of woman is not foreign to the pages of scripture. She's not. Like, she all up and through there. It's the default position for the Christian woman. So if the type of women that these men are saying that they want is supposed to be the default position for Christian women, but our Christian women are still struggling with outcomes just like the secular women, we've got to ask ourselves a couple of questions. We have to ask ourselves, have we adopted the ways of the world, and have we allowed them to influence the way we interact with the man, the energy that we give off? Like, where's the missing link? Now, I'm not saying this is foolproof at all, right? But what I am saying is, if we in the church are having the same problems as the world, the default position of what these men are saying they want are supposed to be what a Christian woman is. We have to self-examine to say, okay, there are some areas that I clearly need to work on, right? Titus 2, 3-8 spells out exactly what all women are to be. When the Apostle Paul is talking in this section, he's leading with what the older women should be doing, but what he's describing, the characteristics and the manner of life and the pattern that he's describing, are what the younger women should aspire to be, right? So the younger women are to learn who they are supposed to be as it relates to their husband and their children and their family. He's describing what the younger women aspire to be or should be learning from the older women. What they learn, the things in Titus 2, verses 3-8, I'm gonna read it in a moment, but those things are practical. Like, they're not like these things that require you to get a degree in physics for. They're like practical, and those things are areas that are focused in the domestic sphere, in our homes, right? It's not beneath us, ladies, to care for our homes and care for the men in our lives, to care for our children. Like, it doesn't make you less of a woman. I promise you it doesn't. It just it I don't know where this idea came from, and I get it. The argument is, well, if I'm working 40 hours and he's working 40 hours too, why is it that I have to, shoulder the bulk of the burden of caring for this home? I didn't say that. Because I know men who are like, yes, she works 40 hours and I work 40 hours, and I don't mind pitching in and helping. But if you work 40 hours and I work 40 hours, I don't see you coming in, pitching in, cutting this grass, dealing with this trash, and dealing with all the repair work around here. Don't say you want equality, because it's going to have to go both ways, right? The men will chip in. I know men who cook, who will catch some dishes, who will change a diaper. They will do it because they like, we in this together. We got to figure this out. We doing this two income thing. I get that. But why is it we always hear the women complain, well, I work. I don't understand why I got to cook. Okay, fine. If that's your argument, he works too. Go cut some grass. I don't see you sparking it up, Sparky, pushing that lawnmower out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I ain't never seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we're not characteristically known for that, right? I'm Y'all better come on through here. Y'all better come on through here. Titus 3, verses 2-11. But first, let me read Titus 2, 3-8, right? Let me knock that out. If y'all want me to take questions, I will. But if not, it's approaching the 3-hour mark. And I love y'all. I do. We haven't even taken a commercial break. So I've just gone straight through this content. But Titus 2, 3 through 8 says, older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good. And so train the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self controlled, pure, working at home, kind, and submissive to their own husbands. Why? That the word of God may not be reviled. Likewise, then it talks about urging the younger men to be self controlled. And then at the end of the day, Titus 3 2 through 11, it's an admonition in a sense to all believers because being Titus 3, I mean, when the Apostle Paul says, remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy to all people. That is an admonishment for all of us. So if that's an admonishment for all of us to be gentle and to be courteous, right? That means the life of the Christian is supposed to be separate and distinct from that of the world. So when it comes to this topic of passport bros, I get it. Like I said, there are myths out there, and there are people like, nah, I know what the men are down there really doing. That's fine. There's a conversation to be had about that. But I can guarantee you, these men are telling you, I'm going there because the culture is different. And therefore, the women there have a different mindset. And I'm weary. I'm weary. I'm frustrated. I don't want to do this anymore because it's too hard. And I know, ladies, your position might be, but why can't they travail? Why can't they forbear with us? We've been through a lot. Like they've been through it too. But if you're a Christian, your default position is supposed to be what the scripture outlines and what these other women in these other countries are doing naturally. It means you've adopted a secular worldview. It is an anti-God worldview, and you're gonna have to change. Because if you don't change, you can keep going along to get along the way you've been doing it because you're old and stuck in your ways. That's fine. You can do that. I don't begrudge you for wanting to do and be how you want. I'm just saying we can't complain and we cannot put down and talk bad when these men choose to go overseas and leave us wanting. What you gonna do? You'll have no excuse to argue. It's too late for the blame shifting. Whatever you didn't learn, because you listen, come from a single parent home, I get it. Whatever you didn't learn, accept it, but endeavor to do something different. I don't believe that many of us are just beyond the grace of God where he can't do a work in our heart and you can't change. That's not true. You can change. If you're hearing what the problem is and you're like, this is convicting me to my heart. My heart is pierced. Something is wrong. There's something going on in here. There's some anger issues I need to work out. Repent. Just repent. Repent and turn. I should have worn my repent and turn shirt. Repent and turn and just do something different. I guarantee you're going to get different outcomes. Because had I not learned this lesson at 25, I would not be married to the man I am married to today. I I I fell back and let him lead. And I did not execute that perfectly. He will tell you, the girl had to learn. I had to learn because I didn't come with these default presets. I wasn't raised, right, to be this way, but I learned to be this way because God did a work in my heart. And I recognized that the way I saw families flourish and the way I heard my husband speak of the culture over there, I was like, I want that. He ain't ever got to go to Brazil ever again. Cause I'm gonna make sure that he gonna get what he's supposed to get right here at home on American soil. And it was that simple. It was that simple. I was not fighting against him. I was like, let's work together. What is it that we need to do? What is the vision for the family? What is the plan? Oh, that's it. Well, we marching. I marched to his drum, and all four of them babies, they marched behind me, and together we are following Christ. That is what I want for God's people. I want us to be a reflection of God's glory here on the earth, representing God's relationship with his bride, the bride of Christ. The family is supposed to reflect that. This is why the scriptures use that kind of language. We're the, we're the bride. We're the bride of Christ. We're also referred to as a body. Bodies don't move, body parts don't move separate and distinct with no connection. They move together. They operate as a unit. He's building his church. We need to be building a family. This is on us. These men are getting passports, and I don't begrudge them for wanting what they want. Like I said, listen, okay, I deal with the public. I deal with us every day. And I talk to men. I just had a customer who was like, listen, hold my order for a week because I'm going to be in Thailand. And when I get back, I'll pick it up. Me, being the inquisitive person I am, oh, what are you doing in Thailand? That man talked to me for an hour telling me about how much he loves Thailand and they're just so accommodating to him out there, and the culture and he just talked about. I just let him talk. I was like, yeah. I was like, I get it. I get it. I understand. What random man talks to you for an hour? Unless he done found something over there that is so different and so foreign to what he's used to that he got to tell a whole stranger about it for an hour. My husband will attest to it because we got cameras in the store. And if he see me, kind of low, he like, are you closing the stand? Like, why are you talking so much? Like, who is that? Like, what is that all about? And I was like, oh, baby, I'll tell you about it when I get home. I had to let him know. I was like, yes, I met a passport bro. He was telling me all about Thailand and him and his best friend. They go there all the time. And this guy, just a regular, nice guy, drives trucks for a living, makes great money, telling me about life in Thailand and how he was like, I've lost faith in American women because he's like, this is too hard. The level of stress and the turmoil that he's going through, I don't wish that on nobody. Another broken home. That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to put his business out. Another broken home. And he was like, I hung in there for 10 and I would have hung in there for another 10. But she want what she want. And she want to go. She for the streets. And this man, I gave him the gospel. I don't know with 100% certainty that he was a believer, but he was speaking like he was speaking as if he had knowledge of the one true God because he acknowledged the fact that based on what he had been through, that it's God that had been keeping him. And so I didn't want to just leave that conversation open, not knowing and assuming that he was a believer. So I gave him the gospel and he stood there and he listened. And he was like, yeah, he was like, I hear that. He's like, yeah, I hear that. Like, he's like, I felt that deep. I don't know how the Lord's going to use that. But what I'm telling you, that was barely 2 weeks ago. I meet these men all the time. Some of these men are my friends. I am married to a former passport bro. The man quit his job because he found something on American soil that he was like, you know what? I'm a make this work. I can work with this. All my frailties, all my deficiencies, he was like, I can work with this. She giving me something to work with. Ladies, are we giving them anything to work with? Or we just like, you just gonna have to deal with me the way I am. And if you don't like it, oh well. That can be your attitude. If you name the name of Christ, I don't see how it can be, but that can very well be your attitude. But you're gonna come up short. You better compete, ladies. That's my final exhortation. You're gonna have to compete. I know we don't want to hear that. We don't want to be told that we gotta compete. And when I say compete, I don't mean spending time on the external so that you can look the part. But what I am saying is that if you refuse to compete on in the areas that matter most, and you perpetually believe that it's everyone else's fault, everyone else is the problem, you're going to remain a perpetual victim, and you are going to be a victim of your own circumstances. That is just the hard truth and the reality. It is culture. It is not the externals where I'm saying you need to compete on. You are who you are. You were born with the hair that you was born with. You was born with the shape that you got. You don't need to go buy a new one. Be who you are, but be the best version of yourself by the power of the Holy Spirit, living a life pleasing unto the Lord, letting your character show and shine. And I can guarantee you, you will get different outcomes and results. That's my show for tonight. That's my show. So I don't know how this is going to be received on the interwebs. I'm prepared for the smoke. I am prepared for the negative Nancy comments. I'm prepared for all of it. Why? Because it's par for the course. There are going to be some people who are just unable to receive correction, and they revel and just they want to wallow in the misery. Stay there. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. Nobody's gonna stop you. But I'm recruiting a crew of women who are like, listen, I've already lived that life. I've already been that wretch undone. I am a new creation in Christ Jesus. I am not that woman any longer. I'm not her. And every day, by the power of the Holy Spirit, I'm striving to be different. I interact with the checkout, the guy at the grocery store. I don't know him, but I'm interacting with him different because I recognize that that man didn't do nothing to me. And just the fact that he is bagging these groceries and he's making my life a little easier in this small little moment, I'm going to tell him I appreciate him. I'm going to smile. I'm telling you, when you start living your life this way, not because you just out here thirsty, hoping that the guy that's bagging your groceries is going to propose. That ain't what I'm saying. But it is a posture and pattern of life. It's a practice. When you endeavor to be this way, it becomes natural. You naturally learn to rest in your femininity, to not have to be on the defensive and always the aggressor all the time, and just smiling, waving, just let if you claim you really got the joy of the Lord, why can't we see it? When are we gonna see it? Why you got a mean mug all the time? If you're at the red light and you turn to the right and there's a guy next to you and he smile, don't mean mug him back. Just smile back. I mean, when the light turn green, you gonna go anyway. Make the man's day and just smile back. Is it gonna hurt you? Is it gonna hurt you to smile? Come on. I don't believe that. I don't believe it hurts to smile. Now, if you got Botox, maybe it might. I don't know. I've heard. But I'm just saying, we're gonna smile more, right? Without wanting anything in return. This is not a manipulation tactic. We're just smiling because we need to practice smiling. Like it's not something that we normally do. We're gonna be polite, right? We're not gonna cause problems unnecessarily. When there is a problem that needs to be addressed, we're gonna stop. We're gonna breathe and we're gonna say, "Hey, listen, I had ordered the Caesar salad, but it appears there's been a mistake and this is a garden salad. Do you mind just taking this back? Because I really would like the Caesar salad." Oh, no problem. Like if we don't start changing our ethnic image, it ain't gonna change by osmosis. We have to change it. So our behavior has to change. How we interact with the world has to change. And eventually the hyenas, they gonna die out. They gonna weed themselves out. They gonna devour one another. This message ain't for the hyenas. Now, if you're a hyena and you want to be a reformed hyena, I am urging you to place your faith in the Lord Jesus and he will give you a new heart. Acknowledge your sin and repent and be like, I don't know why I'm like this. I get it from my mama. It's okay. You can be born again. You don't have to stay that way. It's your sin is the problem. Sin is all of our problem. We all have a sin nature. We've offended a righteous and holy God in thought, word, and deed. None of us are perfect. But you can stand clothed in the righteousness of Christ, where you get a new heart and new affections. Your speech changes, your mindset changes, the way you view the world changes. Everything will change. It's called sanctification. No, it ain't gonna happen overnight. It's a process, but I can guarantee you will see the Lord working in your life little bit by little bit, and you be like, you know what? 2 years ago, if somebody said that something to me, I probably would have cussed them out. But thanks be to God, I didn't cuss nobody out today. Look at the Lord work. That's that's progress. No one's looking for perfection. What we're looking for is about face and some course correction. Why? Because the next generation depends on it. We cannot continue to perpetuate this cycle of toxicity and foolishness and not think it's going to impact the next generation because it already has. So that's my message. I love you guys. Do we have any questions? I have missed so many chats um, that I want people to be made alive in Christ. This message was trendy in the sense that I talked about a topic that it's it's on the airways. Everybody's like passport bros. It's hashtag passport bro. You see, I heard that cough. Everybody's talking about it. But no one is actually talking about the fact that this is a cultural problem. And what these men are seeking, it's basically the default settings that Christian women, we're supposed to come like this. But many of us, we've adopted the ways of the world, and we're not going to dwell on that, but we just going to listen, when Eve starts rising up in you, you need to recognize and be like, ooh, Eve, pipe down. Pipe down, Eve. Pipe down. Yeah, she's showing out. Uh-huh. Just just pipe it down and be like, I am so sorry that I burnt that cornbread. I'm gonna make a nice fresh batch for you. Like, cause like my husband, he hates when I switch up recipes. So like if I cook, I love telling y'all these stories. I don't know why, but if I cook something that he really likes, his thing is don't improve it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just cook it. And me, I'm always like, but I could always add a something a little extra to like take it to the next level. And every time I do that, he don't say nothing. I just look over at him and he just be like, what you do different? I'd be like, oh darn, there it is. There it is. I knew it. I was like, April, why do you keep doing that? And he's just like, there's nothing wrong with the way you made it the last time. Like, why do you keep doing this? And I'm like, babe, I just wanted to do something different to make it more special. He's like, I didn't want more special. I wanted it the way you always make it. Y'all men are simple. They are so simple. If you want to practice and try something new to try to like improve upon the recipe and take it to the next level, do it. Don't do it when it's like the meal they have to eat. Like do that on your own time and then be like, hey, taste this. And then if you be like, oh, this is good, you did something different, then you won. But don't blindside them like that because He don't like when you switch up the recipes. He don't like his pot roast like slice. Like it's just learn the man. Learn the man. Don't slice his pot roast. Okay. Now I don't know if your man is like that, but don't slice that man pot roast. Mm-mm. I don't need. He said, "Oh my goodness, no, 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 Shauna, I am so sorry. Hold on, let me Sister Shauna, she's like one of my day ones here, and there's like a delay because I'm trying to put her comment. I'm so sorry. I'm dealing with the loss of my sister today. Trying to process everything. Just needed to take a break. Sister. You're in our prayers. I am so sorry for your loss and the fact that you're even on this live stream to try to just step away and process. If you need a minute, I understand. I thank you for tuning in today. You you're in our prayers. I know you typically will tune in to my chat. I've seen you on Dear Woke Christian. I've seen you on Caldwell Apologetics. I'll let because I don't think they still here. They probably jump share. I will let the guys know that you're dealing with the loss of your sister today. May the God of all comfort be with you and heal your heart. Give it time. I'm also dealing with a death in my family as well. And I'm sick, like just this sinful sick. I'd be grateful when we all just get the glory and we don't have to deal with the effects of sin anymore. My prayers are definitely with you, my dear sister. Um, so, um, oh, she's here. Oh, okay. Well, I'm here. No, I mean, I'm like in East Jerusalem in relationship to Atlanta, but it's still considered Atlanta. So, you and your family are definitely in our prayers. So, did you guys enjoy the show? If you absolutely hated it, that's fine. Let me know. I want to hear all about it. I want you in the comments tearing me a new one. Tell me how much I'm wrong. Tell me how much I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, please. I want to hear all of it. And then if you were like, you know what, this was a hard word, but I can't really deny that what you were saying was wrong. It just kind of made sense. Let me know in the comments. I want to hear it too. I want to hear from all of you. No need to shut the conversation down. We can have the conversation, right? All I ask is that you be respectful. Don't come in my comments talking crazy. I will block you. Just be respectful. But if you want to be opposition, that's fine. Let's be adults. Let's engage like adults. Leave an opposing comment or viewpoint, or if there's an area of pushback or disagreement, that is fine. That is actually healthy. That's what mature adults are supposed to be able to do. We're supposed to be able to listen to opposing arguments, right? And instead of ad hominem attacks, we actually deal with the argument. I have laid out my argument. I have given you firsthand knowledge, experience. My husband is a former passport bro. He is not, well, obviously, he's not a passport bro anymore because we live here in America and I'm not foreign. I was born here, but it is possible, but it is a thing. And if we don't do something different and course correct, I can't promise you that it's gonna get better. It's gonna get worse. And it ain't new. They've been doing it for years. They have been doing it for years. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Few announcements. If you want to support this show, I got a couple of new ways that you can do so. If you look right there in the upper, my left, probably your right hand corner, there's a QR code. You can use that QR code to support the show. You can do that. You can also, excuse me. Oh, this cold is getting on my nerves. Now I got one of my babies sick. She's not feeling good. You can also, where is it? Oh, this delay is really bad, you guys. I had no idea it was this bad. I'll just sit here and wait for it to show. If you want to donate and you don't like Cash App and you just be like, give me a link that I can just, support the show that way. You can do that right there in that upper left hand corner. That's a QR code. You can scan that with your phone. Or you can do it here. So many new ways that you can support the show. I am grateful for each and every one of you for supporting the show the way that you have. It really does help offset some of the costs of producing a high quality live stream. And it's actually opening up doors for me to do some other things to continue to bring you guys value. As you know, I am launching my Christian lifestyle brand called Standard Home and Living. I'm actually going to show a commercial about it. Super excited about that. I can't wait. The launch, probably by the end of the month, we're going to be ready to launch. I'm talking Bible studies, devotion. Somebody actually emailed me saying, listen, sis, I'm looking for a deep dive into the book of Galatians. What do you recommend? I'm like, I got you. I've sourced and curated the perfect products for if you want to do whole book studies, I have that. If you want to do overview theological studies of surveys of the New Testament or the Old Testament, I have that too. If you're like, I just want some cute faith inspired jewelry, I want to rep my faith in Jesus' name, I got you. Bracelets, necklaces, just cute stuff. Christian cute, I don't want to say Christian cute modest clothing, but just modest clothing that just gives you that fashion forward look, but that covers you up in all the right places, but you still don't look like somebody's meemaw. I got that for you as well. I even have kitchen gadgets that I actually use here in this home to simplify my life and to serve my family in a meaningful way. Whether it's something to keep the microwave clean, you don't have a whole lot of time, I got something for that. Cute dinnerware and drinkware and mugs and t-shirts, you name it, I got it. Home decor. I think I've hit every single category that is important in the life of the believer that you can find what you need to glorify God, serve your family, live and share your faith, and just represent Christ in this world. I've got you covered. So that's the Standard of Truth. It's the Standard Home and Living Lifestyle brand. It's the website is going to be standardhomeandliving.com. Right now it's password protected. So if you go there, you're gonna be like, I can't buy nothing. I'm not ready. I told you. Product is starting to come in. Um, I had some product get delivered today. I've got product coming Monday, and just product is starting to flow in. So it's been a huge investment, but I am investing because I want to be able to give you guys value, things that you can actually use. Nobody wants a Standard of Truth mug. Like, who's gonna buy that, right? You want something that you like, I'm taking this to the office, I'm taking this on the plane, I want to wear this bag. I'm gonna provide you with things that you can actually use that is meaningful for you. So that's coming soon. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I missed. Um The screen is, like, frozen. It is so slow. Oh my gosh, it is so slow. It is, like, taking forever. Um, I love you guys immensely, and let me excuse me, hopefully my voice held up surprisingly. I'm shocked because this cold was kicking my butt. Like I said, I thought I had C-19, but I didn't. I didn't have any body aches. It was just I don't know what I had, to be honest with you. I just was laid up in a bed. This is the first day that I've been kind of out and about. But now one of my twins, she's not feeling well. So now I feel bad that I got the baby sick. I tried to give her supplements, but one twin took the supplements and then the boys took the supplements. And this one, I probably gave one twin supplements more than I should and thought I was giving them to. I don't know. Listen, I'm trying to manage it all. Just give me some grace, okay? Give me some grace. What else? Oh, I wanted to remind you guys about the G3 conference. Yes, the rates have gone up, but there is still time to register. More speakers are being added. Hotels are filling up. Most of the hotels, you can't get the G3 rate anymore, but you can still find a room. You're just going to have to book the same hotel and not get the G3 rate. They might add some more hotel blocks. I don't know. But what I'm encouraging people to do is to do Airbnb. Um, find a group of y'all. Just be like, you going, I'm going. Let's get a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Let's make it do what it do and do Airbnb. I did reserve a hotel room, but I will probably end up doing an Airbnb because I'm going to have my kids with me, and it kind of just makes sense. It's too many of us to be cramped in a hotel room. So I want to see you at the G3 conference. I want you to come to my booth, introduce yourself. We're taking selfies. We're going to be listening to some expository preaching. We're having a grand old time. Berean Babes will be there. Rick from Caldwell Apologetics will be there. Dear World Christian will be there. We are praying that Chris K-Dub from K-Dub True, he's going to be there. I know Alton Johnson's going to be there. So many of my content creation brothers and sisters are going to be there. I know Sister Jackie's coming, Shamika's coming, Shanice is coming, Adrian is coming, the other Adrian is coming. Everybody's coming. Like, I need y'all in the house. Vic, I don't know if you're coming, but I need you to come and be there as well. I'm calling everybody out because if I don't see you, I'm going to be sorely, sorely disappointed. So we've done that. And let's see what we're missing. Oh, it is a huge delay. I'm just trying to put chats up or at least engage with them a little bit. All right. I think that's all. I think I got everything that I was supposed to. Yes, Sister Lisa, I am excited about it too. Oh, okay, great. I love you guys. Take care. Take under advisement what I said. Search the scriptures for yourself and see if those things are so. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. Talk with you soon. Peace.
God is sovereign over everything. He is sovereign over the entire universe. He is sovereign over nature. He literally has created everything that exists out of nothing.
It is the doctrine of sovereign election that empowers and ignites missions, and it is the doctrine of sovereign election that guarantees the success of missions around the world.
We will not build the church according to the changing whims of an ungodly culture. We will change that ungodly culture by the power of the immutable gospel.
All I have is God wrapped himself in flesh, died on a cross, nailed my sin thereto, was placed in the grave, rose again on the third day, ascended to the right hand of the Father, and is there making intercession for me until such time as my salvation is completed and he takes me home.
The more they see, the more they will love him. Stop giving them all this silly fodder and life principles and lay before them. Live your life in solitude, crying out to God. Live your life on your knees. Live your life with your Bibles torn asunder. Live your life for the people of God to be able to present to them the beauty of what he is, the glory of his cross.
There is no such thing as Mother Nature. God rules and reigns over everything. There's not a leaf that falls from a tree that God did not call it to fall at that very moment. God is in control of every single thing, meticulously ruling over the entire universe. Join us for the 2023 G3 National Conference on the Sovereignty of God.